Nobody that I know of in my field uses the so-called scientific method. In our field, it's by the seat of your pants. It's leaps of logic. It's guesswork.
You don't see the curvature of the earth. That stuff is flat.
GLOBEBUSTERS taking over. Bye-bye, moon man and rover. NASA so mediocre. Sorry, but your ball is dead, but your ball is. GLOBEBUSTERs taking over. Gotta ride this roller coaster, but the truth is getting closer. Sorry, but your ball is dead, but your ball is. Get the shovel for the space hubble, piecing up the puzzle. Need to burst your bubble, evil gonna crumble, yeah? Sit down, be humble, got the ball, you better fumble. You'll get mad, cause I just fight about your uncle.
And then they call me the liar. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable the pathetic techniques that they have to use to prove their heliocentric model.
Vibes at the president, Jeran got the evidence. Arrow slaying Jesuits and Zack is evident. That the earth electric and it's resonant. Your residence is heaven sent. I hope to settle in like some sediment. If we so wrong, why they lying to discredit it? That's not too intelligent. That's a guy, not an in court, but we ain't really in the settlement. It's time to awaken from the pseudoscience sedatives.
GLOBEBUSTERs taking over. Bye-bye, moon man and rover. NASA so mediocre. Sorry, but your ball is dead, but your ball is. GLOBEBUSTERs taking over. Gotta ride this roller coaster, but the truth is getting closer. Sorry, but your ball is dead, but your ball is.
Inner World Productions.
And welcome everybody to GLOBEBUSTERS. We're on to season number 11, episode number 12. Oh, is that correct? I don't even know. Maybe it's 13. Let's check the thumbnail. That doesn't tell us. Let's check the title. And that'll tell us it is episode number 12. There we go. Welcome to the show. Hopefully the sound is good. I'm a little bit quiet in my ear, but let me know. Give me a 5-by if you could. In the chat, we are doing the episode called Fly Me Soon. We'll tell you why here in a second. We've got some people with us, but first I thought we should real quick say a quick prayer or send some good wishes towards Austin. They are in labor. So, Father, please make sure, please let Kai have a good, fast, quick, healthy birth, and all good wishes and well wishes towards the family. Hopefully it goes well for them. Thank you, Father. Amen. All right, there's your little prayer for Austin and Kai.
Amen.
Good luck to you guys. We've got Zack with us. Zack, welcome to the show.
Jeran, what's going on, man? How was your week?
Fantastic. Couldn't be any better. Well, probably could be, but but that's what I tell myself. I feel fine.
Yeah, I
How about
built a Rubens tube this week.
Sorry?
It's called a Rubens tube. It's that little it's a tube where you light. It's got a bunch of fire, looks like wicks on top of it. You drill a hole in, you fill it with propane, and then you put a rubber membrane on one end and you play music into it, and it shows the frequency pattern of the music. Yeah.
Have you ever seen how you can take a little tray, a circular tray, and you can put light a flame in there? You like fill it with gas or with some sort of butane, and then you light it, and the flame goes in a circle, just continuously. No. Oh, it's incredible! I just seen it recently. I'll have to find a video and show you. And we've got with us Dave Weiss. David, how are you?
I'm doing good. What's going on?
I see Doug in the chat. Doug thought we weren't going to start till 12:30. Doug, eat it. How about that, huh? 12:15. And if you paid attention to the Telegram notification, it did say 12 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, and 12:15 JST. So nobody was lying here.
We got a 5x5 by 3B Big Buddy Bob.
We do have a flat Earth baby on the way. Exactly. Benny, oh yeah, another Witsit is coming. Very true. I was proven wrong once again. No, Doug, you forgot the word again.
Does this mean that he's not coming on the show?
I'm going to be disappointed if he doesn't. So I told him he better go. He has to come on live from the delivery room. She'll be fine. What are those nurses there for? I mean, come on.
Yeah. He's got nurses too, and he's still not on the show, man.
Yeah.
Slacker, chill.
So we got lots of things to talk about. We've got well, first what I wanted to do is just why we called this Fly Me Soon. If you didn't know what's coming up in just days, we have the premiere of Fly Me to the Moon. Is that what it's called? believe that's what it's
I
called.
thought it came out already. I thought people said they're seeing it and it's really good.
I don't know where you heard that from. Who said that?
I haven't seen it on my thing yet. Let me check.
Oh.
I believe it comes out the 12th, which is what is that, Friday?
That makes sense. Somebody said that they saw. I thought somebody said they saw it. and
Maybe
it
it
was,
was like a preliminary one or something. I don't know.
maybe
Yeah,
it was-
July 12th release date.
So what I did want to do is I want to create a PDF or something for people, but I want to get kind of everybody's input on it. We don't want too much information on there. Obviously, if you do that, people are just going to remove it. And if you are going to go, then you should get there early or try and drop papers on people's seats when you get there or something. You could get there early and drop them on the seats. Nobody will know where they came from. So something like that, or you could stand outside after and just hand them out. It's a good way to get people some information on Flat Earth. So we want to put a couple people's QR codes or their YouTube channels on there. But I wanted to say also that we've got...
There's a card already made up on the app. If you just search "Fly Me to the Moon" in the image search section, there's one, or make your own.
How big is it? Is it full size or?
Business card. I just made a business card size.
So will people be able to print? I mean, people would have to then go get business cards, right? I want to try and make it as easy as possible.
Well, you can take it, you can send it to your computer, and then you could print it out and cut them apart yourself, or you can, go to vistaprint.com and spend $20 and get 500 cards or whatever it costs. Usually they have pretty good deals, but whatever. Just trying to make it easy.
Gotcha. Now I do have a note here from Dan the Waterman, who says there's going to be a Flat Earth meetup double feature. Number one, on Friday, July 12th, several people will start meeting after 12 p.m. at the theater before they go into the 1:30 matinee showing of the new film about the moon landing hoax called Fly Me to the Moon at the Americana Theater at 322 Americana Way in Glendale, California. So he says, join us for street activism in person and online all day long. Dan the Waterman and others will be out front of the theater before and after the film for some audience reaction interviews to record some fresh public opinion. Number two, afterwards, we plan to meet others on the corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Highland Avenue for Flat Earth Hollywood Live, and the rest of the evening's street activism, frolic, and festivities. Join us in person and online July 12th at the Medicinal Mass Media, youtube.com/demonstride. Again, I'm getting a little bit confused here. Flat Earth Hollywood Live YouTube channel. You can go to Flat Earth Hollywood Live YouTube channel. And it says here, look for SoCal and Los Angeles area Flat Earthers in person and online, Flat Earth Hollywood Meetup Group. And there's a whole bunch of links here. I will, I don't know how to post this because it's so long. It's not something I can just put in the chat. But anyway, I will try to get this out. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'm going to copy this whole thing and put it at t.me/Jeranism links. So if you go to t.me.
Let me just make a comment on meetups. A lot of you know that there, or some of you don't know that I added a meetup maker on the app. So if you're having a meetup, you can create a little meetup on the app. But more importantly, go on there and select notify me when there's a meetup within whatever radius you want to select. That way, when anyone schedules a meetup, you won't miss it. I think that's going to be a super feature to help people connect. Because everyone says, "Oh, I wish I'd known. I wish I'd known." So make sure you put your notifications on for meetups within whatever radius you choose.
And that's ready to go. It's all working perfectly.
It's all working perfectly. It's on the app. People are doing it. It's working. People are having meetups. It's great.
Okay, awesome. Hopefully, if Dan is listening, Dan, you should get on there and put all this information on there. Or otherwise, you can find it at t.me/Jeranism links. I'm just posted this big long message from Dan, and it's got all kinds of links in there. And then he's also got a couple more here. He says, I'm invited to be part. Okay, that's for me. So anyway, I just wanted to get a good list if people want it. Dave, what's on yours? Do you remember what exactly it says? Your business card.
Oh, I can pull it up.
I'm just wondering what it said. Like, did it have other channels on it? Did it just have buy the app? We didn't know what you have on there. Okay, there you go. There's everything on. So if you guys are going to the movie, I do think it would be a good idea to bring some flyers or some papers and just, again, we did the math last time, I think, and it was, if you take the amount of theaters and you just take like 4 showings and just say that there's going to be 100 people at each showing, that would be, which is going to be more, but you could say that's 400 people and then there's something like 2,000 theaters or something. Anyway, it came out to like 8 or 10 million people that we could reach in basically one day if you're just talking about the Friday showings.
Yeah, I was talking with mute on. Of course, I do that every show. At one side, it just has the movie poster on it, so it is something they'll relate to. You're like, oh, look, what is this? Fly Me to the Moon. It's got the movie poster on it. On the other side, it's got 2 QR codes. One that says the truth is being hidden from your Google search results, and then the other one says more information, and it brings it to my website. Feel free to make one to any website you want. I just have everything there already, and it's already made. So
I want to make one for Ronnie and Jason.
yeah.
So-
oh yeah.
Are they still at it, dude? I haven't
They're the worst people on the internet.
thought about those guys in years.
Well, there's a
You
reason.
shouldn't say their names. It burns brain cells. Don't say that.
Let's call them something else. Robbie and J Bond or something. That's good. You don't lose brain cells for that. Let's see here. Okay, so we have that. So that's gonna. And if people haven't seen, should I play the? I can play the trailer real quick, just to see everybody. Let's watch this YouTube solo. And
Hello, guys.
Iru.
Yeah, Hero.
How you doing? Maybe my audio is terrible. I'm using old microphone from the
You have
computer
a
directly from the webcam.
very thick accent.
Yeah, you sound like a Jesuit too.
Well, that maybe is my voice. It's not the microphone, but anyway, I just want to say hello, and I assume you are talking about the Fly Me to the Moon, right?
Yeah, it's coming out Friday. I
And
think.
the new productive president, yeah.
Are you going to go
be
see it?
cool
And are you going to do
analyze.
some Iru street activism? No, probably not.
Well, I don't think we have the same.
I don't know how the movies work across.
motion
Okay, I don't know how that works.
in Spain to do that. You have NASA already there, so maybe that is
Lucky us, huh?
something to inspire people to go, into the theaters and cinemas and make some activism. But it's gonna be nice if somebody transmit live or do some kind of live stream from the cinema.
All right. Well, I know from the outside you can follow the Flat Earth Hollywood, but let's watch this. Here we go. We'll see you shortly.
Hey, Joe. Eating cold? Miss, you're on fire.
Very original. No, I do not want to stop, drop, and roll with you.
No, your book is on fire.
Oh my God.
Alcohol and flames, they like each other. Cold days.
Kelly Jones.
Public support for the moon mission is rock bottom.
Every day, something is breaking. And we're dead. Again. Or blowing up.
The space program is a bloated mess.
NASA needs a marketing specialist, and you are the very best.
Excuse me? What are you doing here?
I tracked you down because I felt we had a connection.
What?
I'm joking. I work here now to sell the moon.
NASA's not something that you sell with a jingle and a slogan.
When I'm done, those men are going to be bigger than the Beatles.
Who is that?
For me, this is very personal.
He's got my name.
You told me that your guys don't do interviews, so I had to hire new guys.
I'm here for the casting. Who's he?
You're a juicy part.
60 missions in Korea.
I flew 52 missions in Korea.
I flew 52 missions in Korea. How's that?
What?
The whole world will be watching. We can't afford to lose to the Russians. We need to shoot the backup version of the moon landing.
You mean to fake it? No one can ever know what we're doing.
I cannot accept that.
They will shoot you.
What is my budget?
Oh, boy.
I know a lot more about the moon than I know about you. Give me go, no go for launch. If you fake this mission, every single thing that we have sacrificed will have been for nothing.
You know you couldn't have made it to this day without me.
4, 3, 2, 1.
My Armstrong is a whiny little bitch. We have to recast.
I think we should have gotten Kubrick.
So I do see in the chat we have somebody who's already seen the movie. It looks like it was out in the UK, from what I can tell. Cowabunga Joe says that he already saw it and it's a NASA fanboy. And then I asked him if they end up going to the moon, and he said yes. So that's kind of what everybody expected, is what it's going to be. Is they're going to make it look like it would be very difficult to fake. All the astronauts are going to be like, oh, we'll tell. Oh, we're going to have to tell somebody, and it's just going to make it look like it would be impossible to fake. They kept trying to fake, and then they ended up going to the moon, even though they had thought about faking it because they couldn't fake it, and they just ended up going. So that's what the underlying story will be, which is what we all predicted. So I still think it's a good time.
I made the same commentary in Spanish. In fact, I was delayed my live stream talking about this movie, and I assume that that is going to be the end of the movie, to tell people that, okay, we have that, as a backup in case that we can do it. But at the end of course, they are going to send the spacecraft to the moon.
Of course, it's easier to go than it is to fake it, as Neil deGrasse or Bill Nye said.
One of the, at least in the last year, last years, I saw this movie called Operation Avalanche.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
That is a nice movie, to at least they don't take this idea to send the spacecraft to the moon. They just keep the idea that it's all fake, and it's a nice, it's a nice movie.
Yeah, it was not bad. I mean, it's better than this one's going to be. At least this.
Yes,
I mean, this one's supposed to be a comedy, so it might have some redeeming qualities. But I just think that the best thing about it is that it is a time that you could get a lot of information out to people who are probably interested, probably think the moon landing was fake, or have some. Most of the people who go, I would say, would probably be that crowd. You'll also have some people that are NASA fanboys, of course. So it'll be kind of a good crowd to get there and drop some things off, and don't get kicked out. Just if somebody comes up to you, hey, what are you doing? Oh, sorry, we didn't know. I thought we could hand out things, sir. Just don't really worry about it too much. But anybody that you reach is better than nobody you reached. And it, like, you can go to Dave's site, and I will make something of my own, and I'll put that at also t.me/Jeranism links, and then I'll also put it on my website. I'll do that before Friday. So I'll let you guys know when that will be up. And this way you can, I just think it's a one-page thing, something that's easy to print from your house and easy to just go get shitty paper and put it out. But I like Dave's idea about putting the movie poster on one side. Might actually get you some leeway. So good idea, Dave. Way to go. So tell me about this video that just came out from Glenn Beck today. Zach? Is Zach here?
Yeah, he has a guy on.
Should we just watch it? How long is the video?
It's 15 minutes.
Worth
but
watching?
It might be worth watching and then commenting as we go.
Okay, so if you guys want to comment during it, just tell me to pause it. What I guess is happening, and I actually saw an article recently about this. Well, I'll let Zach is a better person to talk about it. Zach, go ahead and kind of explain it.
Yeah, they're pretty much coming to this conclusion that, overcoming this, downward vector here on Earth really doesn't have anything to do with gravity, right? It is electrostatics. And now I've looked into this. I went to their website and looked around. It's not all that impressive. Like, the stuff they're doing at MIT is way more impressive. And these people are way about space. But they're talking about propulsion in a vacuum, which is way different than, what you have down here.
Zach, would electrostatic propulsion work in a vacuum?
Not a perfect vacuum, no. It'd be real hard. But they're saying, though, I'm going to have to think about it, and I really want to get a vacuum chamber now just to test this, because they're saying that.
Where is there a vacuum? Where's there?
Yeah, no such place.
I mean, basically, the summary of this whole thing is they're proving electrostatics for defying gravity and breaking the laws of physics, because they live on a globe that's scientifically, physically impossible. So they're stuck in outer space, but they're actually doing things here, and they just think that they're on a globe. If they could get their minds wrapped around where they really live, they'd understand that they're not breaking the laws of physics, that they're not defying gravity. They're actually just elevating things with electrostatics, propulsing, is that a word? Things with electrostatics. It's amazing how lost in space he is, but how he's blown away by this technology.
Yeah, and I have a paper that I looked at recently, and I sent it to a couple people. I'm trying to get this over here. 1 second. Shoot, I can't move this. Anyway, there we go. And I got this paper here. I'll bring it up and put it over here for everybody to see. It's a great read. I'll put it in my, again, Jeranism links, t.me/Jeranism links. this paper is. Let's go to the top and read it, which I think it does a great job of explaining it quite well. The paper is gravity just the electrostatic force? And it's by this guy Franklin 2, and it says, this paper explores the idea that gravity is just a fairly straightforward application of the well-known electrostatic force. The usual objections to an electrostatic gravity are refuted, and additional evidence supporting gravity as the electrostatic force are provided. It is shown that gravity isn't the mysterious force we think it is. Gravity is simply the electrostatic force. So if you've never read this, it's actually... Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I think that they're not defying gravity. What this machine does is it stops the Earth from rising upwards at 9.82 meters per second.
Thank God.
And that therefore causes the lift.
Thank God. Because those guys are on top. They're on the ball. They're really sharp.
While smoking a cigarette, maybe it'd make more sense. I don't know.
How could anybody think that? Like, is it real? Like, people really think that? Because a guy dropped a slinky?
To do with possession, but that's just...
That is true. Davis has been talking a lot about that, and it must be something, because they are like showing up in people's chats. They're like the old concavers. Remember that? They would just keep showing up, and just keep yelling and screaming about concave. Now we got people...
Yeah, they're still alive, the concave Earth guys.
I never see them anymore, but now I see the people that think that the Earth is rising.
Ah, well, there's a new movement.
Oh, yeah, it's Dell from Beyond the Imaginary Curve, and there's that guy, what's his name, William?
Oh, right.
William does those like street interviews, or used to. Now he's on the Earth is Rising Up. And I guess, here's the thing I think about the Earth rising up. What Dell is showing when they take a water and show you, you move it left and it sloshes right, and you move it right and it sloshes left, and you push it down, or you push it up and it would go down. But why is down different, they say? Why is down... If you push a bottle down, the water doesn't go to the top. Well, that's a problem for the Nathan Oakleys of the world. When you say relative density, like I used to say, is the only thing, then you have that problem, because then you can't explain why down acts different. Why is down different than any other direction? Well, this is why. It's because if you have the electrostatic force that causes down, then you can say, well, that's why the water's already going down. It's at the bottom of your glass because it's already going down. And therefore, it would have to act differently. That's as simple it is to me. These guys are... It is a problem if you say relative density is the only thing acting on things, because then you can't explain why every direction you move a bottle, it's different when you move it down. So that's basically the way I explain it. What have you thought about it, Zach?
Yeah. They say, well, if you drop something for, a longer distance, it no longer feels the acceleration of that vector. And it's like, well, duh, you're moving with the vector.
Right.
So how would you feel something when you're moving with it? Like, you stick your hand outside of a car while it's moving, yeah, you're going to feel it. It's going to push against your hand. But if the wind is moving with you as fast as the car, if you're going, with the wind, you're not going to feel anything. You're just going to have your hand out the car. Or a river would be better. Stand in a river and let it push you. You feel that, right? That's the vector of the river. Now sit on the inner tube. Do you feel that vector anymore, really?
Yeah,
you're flowing with it.
Right. If you were like underwater holding onto a boulder and the river is flowing, it's pulling your body down, and then just let go of the boulder. You no longer feel that force.
You're flowing with the force now.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, I guess that's the whole thing about rising up. I'm just looking at this here. I was going to see if there was something that was a good paragraph or something, but I can't remember where it is. But it is talking introduction. What is gravity? Even Newton did not have a suggestion for how the force of gravity manifests itself. There have been many exotic suggestions of how gravity works. However, could it be that gravity is not that complicated? Could it be that gravity is a simple application of the electrostatic force? We know much about electrostatic force, and that both the gravity and electrostatic forces are inverse square laws, and both can create an attractive force. So why wouldn't we believe that gravity is the electrostatic force? Part of the problem is that we think we understand the electrostatic force completely, and that we can see some obvious contradictions in using the electrostatic force as gravity. So the idea of electrostatic gravity is normally immediately dismissed without much more thought. We would rather think that gravity is somehow leaking out of some unseen dimension than think that it is being created by a well-known and obvious electrostatic force. Did you guys see the robot polisher video where he shows the Joe Rogan podcast with that Eric Weinstein physicist?
The guy's a moron.
And the other guy...
no, I didn't.
Oh, well, the one thing...
PhD from Harvard, so he knows what he's talking about. I can't stand when people say stupid shit like that. You listen to these people talk, and you can tell they don't actually comprehend any of the actual physics.
Well, the one thing that I didn't really hear him talk about physics. What he was talking about is that peer review is broken. That peer review, actually, we should probably listen to it. The peer review is, it's a Robot Polisher video. Let's watch that. Anyway,
I was watching him talk to Terrence Howard.
Yeah,
Terrence Howard's telling him, no, I think gravity is electricity. And he's just, I don't know where you came up with that. It's like, really?
And you should be grateful.
Sorry. Let me go here to Robot Polisher. It's a pretty good, a little expose. I think that people should recognize, because you have these people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and all these science fans that act like peer review is something special when Eric describes it here as a completely, I put Robert Polisher, robot, where he describes it here as it's an actually incumbent. It's actually blocking new science from coming. And I think it's a good job of exposing it. Let's check it out. It's what do you know about peer review? We'll watch this. Here we go.
I'm just so happy that someone's doing something like this. I'm so happy that we can talk about it. I don't think most people have any understanding of what's going on at the highest levels of this kind of science, because it's so damn fascinating.
Killed or you died, right? And so basically the ethics of academics plummeted. Really what it is it's the Hunger Games. It's kill or be killed. And so we've had an implosion ethically. We'll make these claims. We don't welcome people. You're a mathematician too. We'll say that to kids. And then the kid will say something and then we'll say, be quiet. It's like science in general has portrayed itself as a place where everyone's welcome. We debate out the ideas. We have a scientific method to tell us what's true and what isn't. And that's disingenuous. It's not really how the game works. The reason that people are in part going to freak out about your stuff is that we have a vulnerability. And that vulnerability says that from a single contradiction, if you can sneak one contradiction through TSA, the entire airport collapses.
So it's funny that he's talking about that, because I've noticed this with Globers, right? Globers will never concede 1 point. So why is that? It's kind of question, because it's like, well, if you concede that 1 point, it doesn't mean the Earth's flat. So why are you so afraid to concede 1 point to the point that you have to lie and lie and lie and keep these stories going? Well, what he's describing here is exactly right. That their foundations is so fragile that if one thing squeaks through, they're afraid the whole thing will crumble. So they have to pretend like everything is perfect the way it's set up. Everything is perfect what we believe. And this is just the opposite of science. It is a religion. And he describes it quite well like that.
Everything that we do just is destroyed. The first contradiction in the unity of knowledge destroys all of it. If you've ever seen one of these warehouse racking collapses, where some forklift guy hits some strut and the entire warehouse goes... That's what you're dealing with the principle of explosion. Spiritual successor to the idea of the ether exists. Right now we're in a crisis where no one knows what's true. Nobody knows who's full of shit. Nobody knows where they can trust, what they can trust, who they can trust. We don't kick out plagiarists. We don't check what's going on at the National Institute of Health. And so it's very strange that this table is one of the last things that is trusted by many people. It used to be that spirituality and science were hand in hand. We fooled ourselves into thinking we understood electromagnetism until the late 1950s, which is one of the reasons that you listen to your heterodox colleagues as opposed to making fun of them mercilessly. Because you're not nearly as smart as you think you are. Now, most of the time, what Neil says is, oh yes, 1 in 10,000 heterodox people have a point. And Neil bets on the 9,999 who don't. And so he doesn't listen. This thing here is a proof that you can find elementary omissions very late in the game that change everything. And Everybody who pretends that peer review works and that we've known this since antiquity, all this stuff, they need to understand the exceptions we've already found. Right now, we've got a crisis where nobody knows what to believe in. So one of the reasons that I wasn't, I have the same feeling you do about that Saturn hexagon. Like, what the hell is that? It's unexpected. And I've never understood this great red spot on Jupiter being if it's a gas giant, it's so stable for millennia. The whole thing doesn't super make sense to me.
You feel that the theory of gravity is incorrect, and there's something else that accounts for all of the effects that we call gravity.
Yeah.
And what do you think that is?
I feel that's electricity.
It's a closed little world, and if you don't come with protection, we stab you in the eye. This idea that Neil said about why doesn't he just submit to peer review? It's the biggest bunch of shit I've ever heard.
We've got to.
If what you want is peer review, you should go to a journal and they will laugh you out. They will take one look at your email address, and if it doesn't end in .edu, I promise you're not going to get hurt. I don't think Neil deGrasse Tyson actually knows the history of peer review. Peer review basically begins in the mid-1960s. Now, there were various forms of review. Editors, in particular, were very distinguished individuals who were chosen to not peer review things, to simply take a look at things and see who should be published and who should be not. More or less, from what I can piece together, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, who started Pergamon Press, destroyed...
Jeffrey Epstein's Ghislaine Maxwell?
Correct. He figured out how to destroy science and make a fortune by blowing out the number of journals. So that he diluted the quality of the editorship of the leading journals. This was a group, a very informal, high-quality enterprise. Now, most of the destruction of science, in terms of how high quality it used to be, has taken place relatively recently, post-Robert Maxwell. Because now we have an enormous number of journals staffed by people who can't spot publication cartels, where we agree to cite each other's work, and we agree to publish stuff, pay for play. All of the nonsense that you see with irreproducible research comes after this peer review. Peer review thing got woven in so that people think that the scientific method and peer review are effectively the same thing, where one is an unwanted infection from the biomedical universe, which had peer review much longer than everything else. Neil is giving you a very cursory back of the hand brush off. Okay?
I felt it.
All right. I'm here because I love this man, and this is a higher quality environment. We have to sort out what happened with Tony Fauci and the origin of COVID. Now, this is actually what science was supposed to be. We were supposed to listen to each other, not go after each other with an ice pick to the eye. We were supposed to try to figure out the best version of your idea and build it up.
So what you're saying, though, can I just summarize this? What you're saying is that Neil deGrasse's understanding of peer review is flawed.
Sure.
And that it is not really available to someone like Terrence.
It really isn't. He knows that. You have a heterodox person who actually knows what they're talking about and can overturn the established order, which is where you get a revolution. Peer review just sees establishment versus nonsense. It will lock in a terrible idea for 40 years. And it will stop somebody coming from outside. Disingenuous. Basically, this is saying, please submit your stuff from a gmail.com address. We'll take one look and say, it doesn't look like .edu to me. And we'll throw whatever you do in the trash heap, and we'll say, well, you got the benefit of my peer review. We in science have lost the ability to talk to people who do flawed stuff from outside. All we want to do is get rid of you. And it's because we have this fake openness. We have a fake scientific method. Peer review has nothing to do with the scientific method. We got along fine without it. Peer review isn't even peer review. It's something called peer injunction. Your peers can stop you without shorting you. I'm happy to bet against you in all sorts of things that you're doing. And if you win and I lose, I'm on an unbounded negative experience. But if I block you and I won't short you, that's saying that I think you're dangerous, because it's too dangerous to go short. And the idea that we're handing old people and established people and very politically savvy people the ability to block you without shorting you is unforgivable. The sad fact, Joe, is that you built something that has some credibility. And even though you think of it as, I just like having conversations with people and a lot of them are fighters and I'm just a meatball, we don't have any other place. We can't go to the National Academy of Science. It's too politicized. We can't go to Harvard. We've lost everything. And podcasts, as dippy and shitty and as variable in quality as they are, Jerry very much included, this is all that's left. And my claim is that I'll challenge Neil. I actually think that this is a better place to do review because I'm on the hook. The epidemic we have is assassins. We have an assassin epidemic because the midwits in the system, all they do is see things in terms of like Dunning-Kruger. The funny part about it is that that's the midwits endpoint, is that they see heterodox thinkers and they can't figure out how to place them. And so they just say, if I can find one error, I can reject everything. And you keep triggering that. And that's why you are where you are.
Not everybody can be a robot.
Sorry, I didn't know that was so long. I forgot. I thought that Robot Polisher's videos were shorter than that. But anyway, I think it's still good to listen to. He's describing exactly what I've been saying for 9 years, that science is not what we've been told. It is a business, number one. It has gatekeepers, not peer reviewers. It is establishment versus non-establishment. That's all that it is. And he talked about a systematic fake scientific method, and that you basically are handing these old people, which are the people who, imagine if you came up in college and you did your 8 years of college and you became a physicist or whatever, and then you spent 25 years doing that, that at the end of that, if you're put in charge of some sort of peer review, you would never allow a paper to come in that called into question everything that you've done for the last 30, 40 years. You're going to block that because it can't possibly be right, or else you've been wrong and you've been doing nothing productive for 40 years because you've just been basically going up the wrong side of a tree. So that's really what science has become. And I don't remember who it was that I thought it was Max Born. Maybe it was somebody else who said, exactly what science is, which is it's a series of periods of time where there's a downtime and then there's a complete revolution. And it's happened throughout history constantly, where you go through about a 60 or 80 year period of downtime, and then you have these huge industrial, or whatever you want to call them, revolutions, because what happens is the new people eventually kick out the old people and bring in the new science. Whereas in that 40 year period or 80 year period, whatever it is, that it's kind of dead, it's because you are stuck with the old people who will not allow new, and this is just a human condition, right?
To come out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a coal miner or you own the coal mines, right? You don't want people to switch over to this other type of new fuel.
Right.
You're going to pay politicians and do whatever you can to make it so that your fuel is the fuel that's going to be used, because that's where your livelihood comes from. So I get it, Right, which is, but it's pretty sad because it goes against everything we've been taught about science. So the people that go around and say how great science is need to realize that it's actually not even no better than other enterprises. It's actually worse, because it's falsely set up as something. Here's the one. Max Planck maintained that a new scientific truth does not triumph by convincing its opponents, but because its opponents eventually die and a new generation grows up that is familiar with it. So that's why there's these periods of time that take quite a long time. I just saw, what was this other one here? Max Born is the guy that, he's just a quantum physicist who believes, kind of like I do, that he believes that ideas such as absolute certitude, absolute exactness, final truth, etc. are figments of the imagination, which should not be admissible in any field of science. I totally agree. To claim that you know the truth or that you have the exact proofs of something
is ridiculous because that's like saying you're God or Jesus or somebody who knows all possible.
You know, every variable possible. Yeah, right.
Right. Now you can be as sure, you can say things are facts. You can actually say things are as, you know, as, I don't know, basically as true as can be at the time. But to just say something is proven and never needs to be looked at again is just folly. That you are now giving yourself godlike qualities. And like I've said before, you don't know, even if you're following somebody who's looking at the scientific method or whatever, if you have to call into question whether or not the person doing the test, because if you didn't know this, every single scientific test that's ever been done in the history of the world had to have a person be the one who looked into the details and gave us an answer, right? And no test just gives you an answer. You have to have a person who looks at it and decides, well, people are flawed. And if you could have, it's possible to have a incompetent scientist doing the experiment. So if you have to then question whether or not the scientist doing the experiment is competent or not, well, now you've brought in subjectiveness into a practice that shouldn't have subjectiveness to it, right? If you're going to say something is proven, then at no point in that process can something be subjective. That's the problem, is that if you have to say, well, do I trust that scientist? Well, now that question can never be, that can't be objective. It has to be subjective. And if something's subjective, then how can you get proof after that? It's just not possible. So, he says, intellect distinguishes between the possible and the impossible. Reason distinguishes between the sensible and the senseless. Oh, sorry. So anyway, I just thought that was good because it does tell us what peer review is, and people should recognize it. And then people should bring that up and point it out when people like Toon and FTFE act like we have all the answers. Nothing's ever changed. They really believe, and again, it goes back to what we just talked about. These guys went to school. They got their degree. They feel like they're smart. People are coming out, Austin Whitsitt or whatever, and they're saying things that go against what they were taught. Well, these guys can't even imagine the possibility that what they were taught is wrong. Because what does that mean? It means they're not smart. And so they're not going, their head won't even allow that. They're just going to basically say Austin's lying. He's lying the whole time. He's lying. Well, yeah, you're calling it lying because Austin's saying things that are different than in the physics book. That doesn't mean he's lying. But these guys can't get that. They can't grasp that. So it's kind of all plays together. I mean, hopefully people see the big picture here is that with things like this, we'll watch that video next, with the electrostatic gravity. Where was that? That's in the GLOBEBUSTERS chat, I think. Is that correct? Where's the chat here? Let me bring this up for you.
It should be in the GLOBEBUSTERS live.
Where is the chat, though? Why can't I ever find it now? They got rid of it or something. Oh, shoot. Where do you put the chat on there?
Oh, the bot. Just to the right, the bottom right.
I see it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. And we're going up here to this one. I forgot where it's at. All right, right here. Okay, we're going to bring this up and bring it over here.
Well, I'm so excited and just we're about to geek out with Charles Bueller. He is.
Remind me, if you guys want to comment, please tell me to stop. Should we go 1.5 speed or 1.25?
You'll probably go 1.5.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go 1.25. Okay, here we go.
The founder of Exodus Propulsion Technologies, NASA Electrostatics and Surface Physics Laboratory as well. He's an engineer. He believes he's found a way to overcome Earth's gravity. This is crazy. Welcome, sir.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So can you explain this as much as you can in layman's terms on what you've discovered?
Sure. I do have to caveat first that this is not sanctioned by NASA. This is work that we've done outside of NASA as a team.
Oh.
We're made up of a lot of scientists and engineers throughout the aerospace industry, but this is not NASA work. And there's several reasons for that.
Okay, good. I'm actually happier about that. I like private industry coming up with things. Okay, so Charles, tell me what you've done.
Well, we've been exploring propellant propulsion for several members of our team for several years. Gosh, I've been doing it for 25 years. My colleagues have been doing it for about 15 years or so. But when we joined forces in 2016, we were able to see some magic happen. And then we didn't really understand it until about 2018. And that's when we kind of hit the ground running once we understood it. And then we didn't come public with it until earlier this year.
So when you say you really didn't understand it, the articles that I've read say you still don't fully understand what's going on because it seems to break the laws of physics and gravity.
That's correct. So when I say understand,
okay,
it breaks the laws of physics because they think they live on a globe. They think that gravity is real. I mean, it's so simple when you look at it from our paradigm, and these guys just don't see it. They're so lost in space. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's just and gravity. We've said this the whole time, right? It's their baby. They can't get rid of it because then there's no reason for the Earth to be a ball. So that's why when of course you have Feynman and these guys saying, oh, if you make a prediction and it doesn't hold true to observations, you get rid of the theory. But with gravity, they do the opposite. They made a prediction, they saw that it didn't match, and they just said, well, let's add dark matter, dark energy, which are just placeholders, which again would not be allowed in any other field of science. But they have to do that because the alternative is to say, oh, we're wrong about gravity. At which point, then what do you have left? What are you going to make the Earth a ball out of? It won't work. So
I think you can go 1.5, Jeran.
1.5?
That's just me, though. Yeah.
Okay, see here. I think it's a Jew thing. We can't really listen that fast. We'll try.
We understand it from a classical point of view, but we know that can't be the full picture. There's got to be some kind of quantum mechanics involved. But we at least know enough to do some engineering around it based on the conservation of energy laws. And we tested that. And we made about 1,500 test articles in the last 8 years. So we're learning. We learn every day because we test it about every day.
So what this would allow at scale, and if you could do it not in a vacuum, but space is a vacuum, so we know it would work in space. Is that right?
Well, that's this. We need that
theory.
I'm going to override you on that one. I can't hear the other guy. I want to hear what he had to say.
I agree.
Verification, to prove that it is actually a separate force that we have not yet seen in nature. So to do that, no one will believe you until you actually do it in space and see it move.
Sure. So you have found a way. I mean, when we think.
By the way, if you think about this has been known since the 50s. Or 40s even. This is what the Germans use. This is what the whole idea of these UFOs is been using. Is this idea of electrostatics, overcoming gravity, being able to do things that we don't. And this is what they do. They've held us back as people on purpose by hiding this kind of science, and then they force you into these STEM research areas in school that are all done by the Rockefeller textbooks, which is meant to keep you from finding actually the truth.
Of sending things.
Apparently, it was 1925 when Appleton he demonstrated, the presence of these different layers of electrostatic potential that Heaviside and Kennelly, I think. Had, they theorized that this is what was going on, and then he measured it finally, and that's when they came up with the ionosphere.
By the way, if you want to support the show, you can donate at ko-fi.com/globebusters. Please do that, just because so I don't have to lose face to Austin, who keeps making the goal on his shows and then I don't on mine. So that's reason enough to do it. Somebody just send the 200, get it out of the way. Here we go.
In space, we think rockets. And that is probably one of the more dangerous moments when you're going into space, is all of that thrust behind you coming from propellants. And you found a way now to possibly put rockets into space without it really being a rocket. What is it that is the propellant?
Well, that's the nice thing about it. It doesn't use propellant. It's propellantless propulsion. So you can imagine the skin of your aircraft being the thruster, if you will. It's a paradigm shift in the way we think about transportation. It does seem to violate a lot of old classical laws, like the rocket equation and other classical mechanics. But those equations are, almost 400 years old. We have a lot of new physics since then. And I think this is taking advantage of some of not the 20th century quantum mechanics as much, but more the 19th century E&M physics, electricity and magnetism.
Okay, pause that for a second.
Right, replace rocket.
So if you heard him right there, he said, like Newtonian mechanics are 400 years old, right? That's old stuff. And he's not using the new mechanics of the 21st century, all the nonsense that we've come up with, relativity and all this stuff. He's using the EM, the electricity and magnetism stuff, discovered in the 1900s.
Right.
That's what he's going back to, Tesla stuff, that kind of stuff. The stuff that's still running all of our stuff today.
Which has been hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, clearly what's happened to this world, and I don't know, really who is in charge of it or that it's become about money. And Dave, I want to point that out. That one thing I think you've said for years that I've always disagreed with you is you say it's not about money, where everything is about money. It's all about money. Because it's not as easy as they just print money. That's not how money works. They're not going to the bank doesn't just print money for people who want money. So the people in charge of this world want to have control. And how do you have control over people? You control the money. So if you
wait, Jeran, you control us with money because we have to pay for money. But let's say NASA wants money for something, they can just pull it out of thin air.
No, it doesn't.
It
It's
just
not how
comes
it
from the
works.
Federal Reserve, whatever. They just get digits in their computers.
It's not how it works.
And then they have money to keep this jobs program going.
No, it's not how it works because they have to have it. There's a, basically, if you borrow money from the Federal Reserve, you've got to pay it back. Now,
Did you do the accounting on that? Did you audit them recently?
Well, no, but what are you saying? You're saying that they just print money whenever they want for whatever organization wants it? They just print it out of the Federal Reserve?
Whatever. I mean, but if the Federal Reserve wanted to, give NASA $1 billion and NASA now has $1 billion in their bank account, who's doing the accounting on where that came from?
The people at the Federal Reserve are not going to just give NASA money. They want they're the ones who run the world, so they want money back. They want to be paid back.
But you don't think the Federal Reserve and NASA are kind of like the same organization?
No, I mean, I think that, I see what you're saying there, but I don't think that it's as simple as that. Think about everything is about money. Everything. It's all about, and it's taking our money and giving the rich more. And if they do that, then we're enslaved, right?
Right.
Yeah, because we're enslaved. That's how you enslave people, is if you get them to believe in the money system. So I guess, that's part of it, is once people believe in the money system, then you can actually use it to enslave people. So if it's as simple as they can just print money, then you really can't do that, because it has to be a have and have nots, right? So you can't just keep pumping money in the system, or pretty soon everybody has. So you have to keep it controlled.
No. You're not getting it. The people that are running the system can make as much money as they want and get it and break the rules. Like if you're the banker in Monopoly, you could just keep grabbing more money and cheating, right? And no one's doing the accounting, right? So NASA, one, they don't need $80 million a day. They're just taking $80 million a day from us out of control. And they have people that are pawns for NASA, people that are doing all sorts of stuff, and they control them with money. But like the head of NASA, like I put NASA, the Federal Reserve, the ruling families, all of them are the same organization. So they don't need to raise money. They can just make money invisibly without telling anybody.
Well, the people at the top do make money invisibly because they loan it out and get paid back money that's just interest.
And I put NASA in the same group. I think that NASA and the Federal Reserve are run by the same people.
But truthfully, right, NASA gives all their money out to these other organizations. They pay JPL, they pay all these other contractors, they pay.
And as you've said many times, it's a jobs program.
Absolutely.
It keeps people busy, and it does all of it keeps the slaves busy and in control.
Because the world that we live in has been constructed around money. If you think about it, like, you can't live in the world without money. That's because it's been designed that way. So that this is what the problem is that let's say that as we get AI more intelligent, as robotics has gotten better, the one thing they can never do is make it so people don't have to work, because you have to have them working. That's how you keep them enslaved. So the whole thing is just a sham, right? The whole thing from top to bottom is a sham. Everything's is a job program. This is why there's so many middlemen in every little aspect of it. People who deliver for this company, and then but it's all middlemen because they need to keep jobs for everybody. They always need to have jobs for everybody, or else how are people going to be poor, right? You can't have them be poor unless they have to have a job that pays them nothing. And that's what the whole world is. It's just a bunch of rich people keeping us down by having all the money. So they don't, I guess I look at it different, because they don't need to print money. They're making money off of us. So it's not a matter of they need, we'll just print it whenever we want it. That kind of defeats the purpose, because then you're introducing money into the system that doesn't have to be paid back. They would rather introduce money into the system that does need to be paid back to them with interest. That's how they make their money. So the whole world just becomes this big old mess where everything's a jobs program. This is why NASA can't go away. If NASA went away, you would immediately have, like 60,000 people or more than that, if you count all these little places that no longer have an income. Well, you'd have to replace. What are these people going to do? Where are they going to get a job? So that's why all these things are just jobs programs. They keep the wheels spinning. They keep everybody.
We're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
We're saying the same.
Totally. And I think that, even with like COVID was probably one of the biggest mistakes they ever made, because when people have time away from work, they can look into things and start thinking and start researching and start putting things together. Whereas when you have a job, it's too much. You're working 40, 50 hours a week. When you get home, the last thing you want to do is start learning things or looking into things, because you're just tired and you barely have any time off so I think COVID really hurt them and woke up a lot of people. Plus we could just talk about the VAX and realized that nobody came out of COVID who was formerly an anti-vaxxer who is now a pro-vaxxer. Zero. So it actually killed them in the fact that there's probably, I wouldn't even take a guess of the numbers, but what would you say that there's been a 50% increase in people that are anti-vaxxers? I mean, it would be a pretty good number. Pretty good number. I don't know if 50 is right, but still
I think it's growing very fast every day.
Right. So, I mean, that's good things, but yeah, I think that the problem becomes we have to, I mean, it's up to people. I don't know if I believe in a violent revolution, or if I used to believe in, it's quiet revolution and you've got to just do non-compliance. But I'm not sure that's the case anymore, because, we need to really get moving on it. Let's continue this one, though. Did you want to say something else? I forgot who told me to stop it.
No, go ahead.
There we go.
It's because about 90% of the rockets by mass and volume is just fuel.
Right.
If you get rid of all that, then you could theoretically start from Earth and go straight into space and then back and forth all over.
That is crazy. That will change everything. So when you say the skin of the plane or the rocket,
which, let's think about this. If they did have some sort of traveling mechanism like that, they would have to hide that because it would immediately expose the space lie. Right? Say they came out with a new way of traveling in space. Oh, look, we can do this now. Great, let's send these rockets. Well, then it would be exposed that they're not actually traveling in space. So they have to hide new technology like this because they need to make it seem like it's expensive to go to space. Think about these rocket launches. They say that cost $500 million. Think about these trips on a Jeff Bezos rocket or a Virgin Galactic, $250,000. Why are the three richest people? If I said, who are the three richest people in the world? You'd say, probably Elon Musk and probably Jeff Bezos and probably Richard Branson. Well, surprise, those are the three guys going to space. It's all a sham. It's all meant to make you think that only the rich can go to space. It's all by design.
And maybe this is not new technology. Maybe this is old technology.
Yeah, I think it is, but they have to hide it. If it's old, because if it comes out, then it will expose the space life.
It'll get rid of all the fuel and the gas and the heating and everything. It'll just get rid of everything.
And then what is the cost of going to space then? Because that is the cost. Like the guy just said, he said 90% of the rocket is the fuel, right? That you can't get. Dave, go get a rocket full of helium or hydrogen. You can't get that. But if all of a sudden it's just something simple.
A rocket full of helium.
But if all of a sudden it's just as simple as some electromagnetic stuff, now you see that it becomes easy for the everyday person to go to space or to try and go to space or to launch a rocket. So they can never have that come out.
Or whatever you're talking about. Is it kind of like static electricity? Is that what you're... I mean, I just don't even understand at all.
Well, it turned out, initially I thought for 20 years, that it had to do with electromagnetism. So that's electricity and magnetism together. But we found out in 2018 it was really just a static electricity effect, which meant no current and the charges are static. That's a big distinction.
Exact same
it just happened to be the area that I am at NASA is the electrostatics expert for the agency.
Go ahead,
Just saying. He said 2018 is when they, figured this part out.
Right.
That's exactly when Bob and I started really talking about this stuff and making videos and stuff like that.
Definitely crazy times.
Not saying,
so
but
once I knew that that's what it was, I was able to hit the ground running and to get thrusters that, in theory, should be able to lift under their own weight on Earth, provided they didn't have to carry anything yet. We're still working on getting it stronger, but that's essentially the gist of it. Static electricity itself has energy, because there's energy between charged particles. We're all familiar with the Coulomb energy, like particles, positive particles repel, negative particles repel, but plus and minus attract. We're all familiar with that aspect of static electricity. What this has shown is that there is what we call electrostatic pressure in the presence of the field. It's basically the pressure itself, which is not something I invented. That's been around for 100 years or so. But the pressure itself can act in such a way that if it's unbalanced, it can give you a net momentum transfer to your system. That's what's new. Now, how exactly this does this, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'll ever know, but it seems to work. So this is easy to manufacture. It's easy to test. Now, we don't test it in vacuum or in the lab. Now it's time to take the next step and put it lower a little bit and see what it does.
Dr. Buehler, can I ask, I'm looking at a chart of your success, and it looks like in 2021, you just had phenomenal success. It just skyrockets up to just over a G of thrust. What happened at that time where you just exponentially started having more and more success?
Well, we know that static electricity, this force, is based on asymmetrical capacitance. Now, asymmetrical capacitors have been around for 100 years. People have seen thrust in them, but they've been kind of ignored from the scientific community because of an ion wind effect. If you do it in air. But if you ignore that, and if you actually test it in vacuum and test it correctly, you'll see that you'll get the thrust actually in the opposite direction of the ion wind. But that's a geometry effect. So, parallel plate capacitors are parallel. If you change the dimension of one of them, you'll get a thrust. So that's a geometry effect. But there are many ways to make an asymmetrical capacitor other than geometry. So that's what we've explored, and that's what we've uncovered. And that helps. It makes things smaller, miniature, makes things two-dimensional, if you will, and lighter. So that's the big.
Our prayer worked. The baby has been born, healthy, happy. Aurora, welcome to the world. A new flat earther.
Beautiful name.
The advancement that we made.
Are there any videos that you guys have made showing this at all yet?
We have a couple on our website. We're going to put a few more on.
And they're not very exciting. I'll just say it right now.
What we're doing now is videos.
There's barely any type of thrust at all.
So what are they showing? What are they moving?
MIT, it's nothing close. It has it's balanced, one on each side of a long pole that's sitting on something in the middle of the room, and it barely rotates around. It takes over 5 minutes and doesn't even do one full rotation. So the type of thrust that they're talking about here, he's saying that it works like the rocket does in the vacuum. You know how they say, well, it explodes over here, so it goes in the opposite direction of I don't know. It seems like phooey to me, what he's talking about in the vacuum like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to really test it. But it's interesting that they're talking about electrostatics being, what's holding us down. That's
I just was. I'm looking at the physics forum, which is physicsforums.com, right? And this guy posted this thing saying, "Is gravity just the electrostatic force?" And he starts talking about it, and then he says, "I'm leaving a link," and then it says, "Crackpot link deleted." And it's just funny. We were just talking about this. I mean, it's like this is what they do, right? So the physics forum, somebody comes in saying, "Could this be true?" And they delete the link and just say, "No, what are you talking about? You're coming with something out of the, you could, everything that we know now is the only thing we can ever know. There'll never be changes." It's so stupid.
Oh, that's too funny.
How about Aurora born during the GLOBEBUSTERS show? How about that, huh?
Commercials on a video just pointed out that Aurora was born during the GLOBEBUSTERS game.
That's awesome.
I thought they were going to name her Electrostatic Thrust.
No.
Electrostatic Flow.
No.
Dielectric.
I was going for word salad, but they didn't like that idea.
That's her middle name.
Aurora word salad.
That's it. Word salad with it.
Yes, it's a good one. Just so funny.
Well done, Kai. Well done.
Where'd he go? I said, I read this paper and it is indeed a very interesting hypothesis. The implications of this theory, if true, are enormous. Please comment. And then it's been deleted. Just funny. Let's continue.
To show people how to build these, that's really the only way to get it out there, to kind of show people how this is done. So we had a couple of videos that we made, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that show the thrusters moving in air. So we have to encapsulate them in styrofoam. So it doesn't look very pretty, but styrofoam is a great dielectric. It's light. It stops corona, what we call corona, from happening, which is a gas breakdown. We don't want any sparks or discharges or current. So we encapsulate everything. Styrofoam is light. It's a good source for that. So those videos are online. You can take a look at those.
Okay, so that's at Exodus
wow.
Propulsion.
Now I'm a little more intrigued after looking at, because I kind of listened to this, but then I was trying to look up what he was talking about at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not on ionic wind or thrust at all, because they are totally surrounded by styrofoam.
So it's just static electricity then?
Yeah, that's interesting how...
So, I mean, we've already seen, I don't know if people have seen little stupid science experiments, like you can charge up a wand of some type and then you can make plastic bags float. You've seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've done that.
Yeah, it's just simple electrode. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, it's basically going to be probably worked off that. But he's talking about there being these charges in the field, right?
Well, I think he's saying it's going to work like a rocket does in a vacuum. You know how they claim a rocket
Will
if you
expel
have
its
an
own,
explosion inside here, and it can push out that way, but the craft is going to move in the opposite direction.
So what?
Or
But I don't
however they
understand.
say the rocket
Okay,
works.
gotcha.
He's saying this is how that works, kinda, from an electrostatic force. But if there is no electric field out there, I don't see how that would work. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't understand either. Because a moving electric charge would produce both the electric and a magnetic field, right? So,
yeah.
But a moving mass, like they call gravity, doesn't actually produce a field. So I guess that's where I'm kind of lost. Is I don't understand how they could be the same if one is completely different, or not completely different, but if it does have that one element that's missing, which is one creates a field, one doesn't.
Space. Easy for me to say.
Although if it does, see, then I start thinking about these guys in Germany that built these supposed UFOs that, because I don't know what you guys believe about Operation High Jump, which is Byrd went down to Antarctica. They went with a whole bunch of people. They were supposed to do it, and then they came running back with their tails between their legs.
Mm-hmm.
So
he went with, it wasn't just a bunch of people either. It was like
the military,
a naval fleet.
Right.
Like
It was
whole
a
aircraft carrier, bunch of battleships around it.
And do you know if is it true that he said that they had craft that would get from pole to pole in minutes?
I don't know about that.
I've heard that, but I don't know if Byrd said that or if that's just a rumor. I'll have to look into that.
And I've heard what some of the stories are that a whole bunch of planes crashed into something in midair that they couldn't see.
Okay, what if we have to live on the outside of the donut and there's other people living on like the inside surface of the donut?
Hollow Earth. Let's continue.
But it's like a donut. Yeah.
Right. Hollow Taurus.
Hey, easier for you to type. Yeah. So tell me the ramifications. If this is found to be what you think it might be, tell me how our life and the things that it could do and would change.
Well, clearly, it would revolutionize transportation as we know it. All forms of transportation. Cars, boats, trains, planes, everything would change. You wouldn't need an engine. You wouldn't need a combustion engine or to burn fossil fuels. You wouldn't need propellers or wheels or tires. It would just revolutionize everything. Yes, it would revolutionize everything if we can get this much above unity. Right now,
they would have to hide this because it is basically free energy. If you're able to, it's basically like electrostatic levitation, right? Which is
just think of all those jobs right there.
Right there. See, again,
you would lose.
This is the problem with the world that they've set up. They can never have a revolution that calls for people not to have to work to live. That would be detrimental to them. That would be the end.
Sort of hovering around unity, but you need a little bit more to carry something. So
okay, so wait a minute. What's unity?
Well, we define unity as the thrust needed to lift up the weight of the thruster. That's
okay. So you need to add more so you can put a body or stuff or whatever in that thruster. Right. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so that's what we need. So we need at least a double or triple the factor just so we can lift up the power supplies for it and carry payload, whatever that is. So that's what we're working towards. But right now,
I have to tell you. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying right now we are above lunar unity. So for the moon, and NASA's very interested in the back to the moon as others are, we actually have
there's where the money
way over lunar unity. So
what do you say? I missed that part.
He's talking about, we're well, past working on the moon, with our thrust. It would work great on the moon because it's, 1/6 whatever, or more of a vacuum up there. He's saying so there'd be less resistance for our thing to work. And yeah, if you look at it, the very front page of his thing is like space. It's got the astronaut there in the suit. And yeah, this is a money thing.
Isn't it always? There we go.
In theory, we could send objects to the moon using conventional rockets today and actually make spacecraft also be the hovercraft for the lunar surface. Never actually have to touch the surface unless they want to. That's very exciting. You don't want to touch the dust. You don't have to. You can just hover above it, and you can travel with the sun. There's a lot of cool things you could do with this technology, but a great demonstration of it would be on the moon.
So this would help, because as I understand it, one of the reasons we want to go to the moon again is we need a staging station if we wanted to go to any of the outer planets. This could make that, we wouldn't have to have that step if you didn't need the propulsion, if you didn't need, some propellant that you would have to get off the moon. Correct?
No, you're absolutely right. Right now, NASA's aim is to go to the South Pole to extract water. Part of that water could be used for propulsion. You just split up the hydrogen and oxygen. But you wouldn't need to do that with this technology. You would just go to the moon, and then when you get tired of going to the moon, you can go to Mars. Right now, we can go to the moon, theoretically, in about 2.5 hours. It's a very slow acceleration.
Wait. What did you say?
Well, since it's a constant thrust, theoretically, we should be able to put our thrusters in space and get to the moon in under 3 hours with the accelerations that we have.
That's funny. I was just talking about the last couple of days. Why don't they go at infinity speed in space? Because if you just have to just keep propelling and moving, couldn't you go 1 million miles per hour in space?
We can get to Mars in about 5 to 6 days. That's very.
Oh my gosh! Okay, Hank, can you hang on just a sec? I need to take a 1 minute commercial break, but we have to continue our conversation if you have time. We're talking to Dr. Charles Buehler, who is with the Exodus Propulsion Technologies. He is the co-founder of that, and he and his team have come up with some unbelievable things that will obviously change the entire world. This is so mind-bending, honestly. Charles, I don't even know what questions to ask you. I've never been in this position before. How real is this? How long will it take you to go from where you are now to being able to prove it with some sort of vehicle?
Well, that'll depend on funding and accessibility to space to verify that it's real.
Ooh,
and then once
accessibility
it's
to space.
verified in space, I think it'll be easier to get funding. And the aim of that funding would be to help us to try to look at all the different
thrust that they show in a vacuum
and how we can improve.
Nonsense. It's showing one of those, like a gem scale.
See, but here's the problem: is that what if? So now they're saying that space isn't a vacuum, and this may have been part of hiding it
There's
from
no
us.
vacuum here on Earth that we can even create that's close to the so-called vacuum that's up there, right? 10 to the negative 17 or whatever they claim it is, Tor.
What I'm saying is, what if that's the lie? What if that's the lie because space is like an ether? There's charged particles there. There's a field there.
Yeah, it turns into a liquid, at some point in time,
Well,
like
with
not just a
temperatures,
liquid like water, but a superfluid.
Yeah, that's what Eero always talks about. Eero always talks about if you got cold enough up there, you would have essentially a dome.
And I remember something David said a long time ago, and it still sticks in my head. And I was telling Cam about it the other day. A boiling pot. I mean, I know the sun creates heat. I feel it when the sun's out. When I stand in the shade and then I go out in the sun, I feel, I can feel the sun putting off heat. But I still think a lot of the heat comes from the bottom.
From the ground, you mean?
Yeah, from the ground. So imagine a boiling pot sitting there in water, and you get that, not boiling yet, but you get those bubbles forming. And it's an air pocket in there.
Right.
And there's water above. That's cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look at that on a grand scale. Imagine if, it's the heat from below is creating this air pocket, and up above is superfluid. Just a thought.
Okay, let's continue.
Yeah, there's many ways that we can travel down, many paths.
Sorry, guys.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm going to say that, remember that they can escape because they show it. The microgravity, what they call microgravity, but the actual thing is that you have the sounding rockets from the European space agencies that when they launch this sounding rocket, which is just is a vector that reach only 5,000 kilometers per hour. So in their theory, they need to reach like 20,000 kilometers per hour to be in orbit, but this rocket just 120 kilometers, little more, little less. They reach the this state where they cannot fall down as they should in their own model. So they call the microgravity. We call it that superfluid state.
Right.
But you can see because you can see it. You actually see it from the camera of the rocket. That there is another state. It's something strange because you don't see.
Are you talking about where the Go Fast rocket
fluidity.
hits the some sort of substance?
Well,
Or is that
the
just
thing
the-
is that they call it the boson-Einstein theory, which they say
Condensate,
they,
right? Or
they
condensate
speak
or
in
something?
terms of particles. Like
Yeah.
the particles lose their identity, so they don't know where they are, and they start talking in this quantum mechanic language. But the actual thing that you see is there is like a gradient line, very very thin, because the rocket is just tumbling very very slow, like they are in some type of liquid, but there is no liquid there, and suddenly just in a couple of centimeters or maybe meters the rockets self-oriented again and start falling down at the rate of the 9.8 meter square. And what happened up there? There is something strange that don't belong in our physics. And remember that even in their own paradigm of the heliocentric model, the entropy in outer space is not contemplating, is not active. Sorry for my language, but what I'm trying to say is that we never witnesses slowing down or something that the planet and the stars start losing their movement, and everything is still from the first day of the creation. We don't see the sun going slow than before or losing the energy. It's like a continuous system that is always running at the same rates. It's something happened beyond the what they call the karma line, but there is something there, and you can witness this in the old videos from, for example, the German Space Agency, and they put it 6 minutes of microgravity, and you don't have the orbital velocity that you need to be there 6 minutes just flying around the spherical Earth based on the Newtonian mechanics.
Okay, let's continue here. Just a little bit left.
So we'd like to explore all of those simultaneously, and that would help increase the test ratio that we need to really.
Are you
approach the final.
Are you publicly traded, or you're just looking for private funding?
Right now, we're just privately funded.
You should. You should do crowdfunding as well as private, because I think there's hundreds of millions of people that would love to see this. Would solve so many problems. Is this the kind of you've only got a minute? Is this the kind of technology that would explain some of the things we're seeing, in those UFOs that seem to just defy all physics?
It's possible that it could explain some of it. There's some, other things that we don't really understand that this theory could explain.
Wow.
A lot of time on it, but it absolutely could. Because it is a fundamental force. So that's fundamental.
Charles Bueller, thank you so much. The name of his company is Exodus Propulsion Technologies. He's a co-founder of that. He's found a way to overcome gravity. It's quite a remarkable time we live in.
I would agree. It's getting interesting, and I think it's funny. I like to see these guys who have thought they're so smart start to see stuff like this, where they've been going around calling Whitsitt a liar, and he's lying, and then they see stuff like this, and this just must kill him. Now they've got to say this guy's a liar. It's all a lie, because anything that comes out
change the world. Yep, from globe to flat.
Right, it's a lie. Everything's a lie. Yeah, the only thing that's true is what's in the physics book that we read now. It's just ridiculous.
Your opinion. Glenn Beck, is he controlled opposition, or is he just a guy lost in space doing what he does?
I think he's just a guy lost in
in
space.
Skull and Bones?
Was he?
Is he?
I don't think so.
Because he interviewed that astronaut, which just makes me like, what the hell?
Dude,
didn't
Alex Stein messaged me or FaceTimed me one time from his warehouse, and the Mercury 7 capsule is there. He bought it. He paid for the actual Mercury 7 space capsule, and Stein was like playing on it and looking through the window and shit. It's like in the warehouse at the Blaze Studios. So he's just a big space nerd. And he thinks we went to the moon and everything
There'll
else.
be no getting through to him.
No, not with like flat Earth. I don't think. No.
Oh, I want to say this. Everyone listening, go to that video and leave a constructive comment. Talk about electrostatics. Tell them where to find more information. You know, let's just flood their that video with comments that might help other people find flat Earth. And if you're looking for the video, it's in the gravity section on the app. But if you just open up the FAQ page, I have a pop up there right to that video, so everybody sees it.
Wait, so where have you heard that Glenn Beck was Skull and Bones? Because I am kind of seeing some stuff now, but I'm mostly seeing shirts that say Glenn Beck, Skull and Bones T-shirt. But,
Just some of the. I'm looking right now.
I've never heard that before. Is Glenn Beck Skull and Bones? We'll try that. Are you saying he went to Yale? Well, right here it says the 13 most powerful members of Skull and Bones. Let me read this real quick. I just didn't know if he's a part of that. Each year, 15 members or juniors are tapped or chosen for lifetime membership. A windowless building, we know about that. The Secrets of the Tomb, we've heard about that. Tell me who these 15 people are. From among those business titans, poets, politicians, and 3 U.S. presidents, we picked the honor roll, Willard Howard Taft, class of 1878. We've got Walter Camp, class of 1880, known as the father of American football. Lyman Spitzer, class of 1935. Spitzer dreamed up the idea behind the Hubble Space Telescope, the first method to observe space uninhibited by Earth's atmosphere. Also lobbied NASA and Congress for the funds and oversaw the production of the actual machine. After 44 years, NASA launched the Hubble into space, and Hubble remains there today, providing stunning images of everything but the Earth. I'm going to look this guy up. Lyman Spitzer. Okay, we've got who else? Potter Stewart, class of 1937. Is the editor of the Yale Law Review during his time at Yale. A Supreme Court justice, Potter sat firmly in the middle of an ideological war on the bench. Okay, we've got George Bundy. I'm sure many people have heard that name. Class of 1940, becoming one of JFK's wise men, Bundy may have relied on his big brother to help him get Skull and Bones. William Bundy, who graduated a class earlier, went on to serve as State Department liaison, notably during the Bay of Pigs. We've got George Herbert Walker Bush, class of 1948. Of course, you know who he is. William Buckley Jr., class of 50. Known for his outspokenness, transatlantic accent, Buckley symbolized the most conservative brand of politics. Okay. John Kerry, we know who he is. Current Secretary of State, former senator from Massachusetts. Frederick Wallace Smith, class of 66, was a often forgotten bonesman. He founded FedEx, the first and largest express delivery company in the world. He serves as chairman and CEO of this multi-billion-dollar company. George W. Bush, we know who he is. Stephen A. Schwartzman, class of 69. Why do I know him? What's he from? Oh, yeah, he's the Blackstone. The club tapped Schwartzman only a year behind George W. Bush. He became the prominence under the future president administration when his hedge fund, the Blackstone Group, went public in 2007. So he's the head of Blackstone. And he famously compared the Obama administration plan to raise taxes to Hitler's invasion of Poland. We've got Austin Goolsbee. What the hell is that? 1991, another newbie bonesman by usual standards. Goolsbee, a 46-year-old economist, was the youngest member of Obama's cabinet. Texas-born economist, was presumably tapped in 89 while studying economics. Okay. Skull and Bones didn't allow women until 1991. German Chancellor Angela Merkel. That is it. I don't know. I thought I was going to see Glenn Beck in there. Guess not. This one says Glenn Beck. No, I don't know why. I do see a bunch of links for Glenn Beck's Skull and Bones t-shirt. Why would he have that?
It was something that he wore one time. He wore the Skull and Bones across his...
Oh, and you just assumed that meant he was a Skull and Bones?
No, it's something else. I read about it. Here, Founding Fathers, Secret Societies, him and Bill Riley talks about... See, I don't want to buy this book.
Well, I just searched. You might have something, because I searched Glenn Beck Yale, and it says in 1996, while working for a New Haven area radio station, Beck took a theology class at Yale with a written recommendation from Senator Joe Lieberman, a Yale alumnus who was a fan of Beck's show at the time. So there is something. I mean, what are the chances that we just look it up?
Well,
and
I know he converted to Mormonism, it says.
Harvard group skewers Yale over Glenn Beck past. If you think about the long-time rivalry between Yale and Harvard, the last person you might think of is Glenn Beck, but the controversial conservative talk show host has become the latest weapon in the Ivy League war of words. What? I don't know anything about it. Anybody in the chat know anything about him going to Yale or being a bonesman? I've just never heard that before. Oh, wait, here we go. The Harvard Dems don't leave the digs at Yale's. The website urges students don't let the Yaleys forget about their most famous dropout while asking them to buy a $10 shirt. Oh, I guess that's what the shirt is. He went to Yale? Who did? Now people are just saying things in the chat and not having a clue what they're talking about. He said he took one class, is what I saw. Glenn Beck and the resurgence of the Austrian school, the person who made it Hayek, I don't know. Free speech is dangerous. Are attacks against free speech? Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard that he went to Yale or that he's a bonesman. So I'm just looking. I don't see any. Oh, recommended for admission to Yale in 1990. Did Glenn Beck pursue a higher education? Glenn Beck did not pursue higher education. After graduating from high school, he attended Yale University for a brief period, but did not complete any.
Okay, let's get scientific.
Hey, we got some coming in here. What do we got there? We've got thanks to Crazy Doug for the $20. Welcome to the amazing Flat Earth Aurora. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Doug. We do appreciate that. You guys can join him and help get that goal up. Right now we're at a 0%. I think that should be more than that, 10%, right? If I can do my math right. Yeah, it doesn't look like he went to college. It says, did Glenn Beck go to college? No, Glenn Beck did not go to college. He was briefly enrolled in a theology class at Yale called Early Christology. So he must not have been a bonesman. They wouldn't have had time to put him in there. Glenn Beck, family with dad at Yale while I'm at Zale. Don't know. All right. All righty. Let's keep going now. What else you guys got for... Do you want to talk more about that? Do you have anything else you want to talk about that, Zach?
No, I just think it's cool that they're finally saying this on bigger platforms that, hey, this whole gravity thing down here is just electrostatics. I mean, he pretty much said it.
I mean, it kind of validates what we're saying. And I mean, if it's true, I think.
Yeah, well, we know that there's like ways.
They still have the heliocentric model in the in mind, right?
Yeah, and that's always going to be a problem.
Right.
Yeah, it's
because if you look at it, if you look at the results they have in the heliocentric model, it breaks the laws of physics. It doesn't make sense. On a flat Earth model, it makes perfect sense. Which one's right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier for us because we have the ability to say, well, what's causing the flow from above? It's real easy. I don't know. They can't do that. They've backed themselves into this corner where, the physics no longer makes sense. Their story doesn't match the physics anymore. Where ours is real easy. It's just, I don't know, God.
This is a great opportunity to get his audience thinking about flat Earth. Just go over there and leave comments. I left a bunch from a bunch of accounts. Just go over and leave a nice comment. Tell them to check out something. I don't think you can post links. The link will post for you, but no one else will see it. So don't put any links in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, someone's saying it's opinion, similar opinion. I'm not saying it's a validation at all. I've done the test myself. I've measured the electric field myself. I know it's there. That was my validation. I just think it's cool that, Glenn Beck has a very large platform. Very large. So it's cool. And it's not a nut job platform either. He's more there's nut jobs on the right just as well. But
he believes we went to the moon. He believes all this nonsense.
Yeah, but a lot of people that listen to Glenn Beck.
No, I get it.
The people that listen are your, guys out on tractors.
Well, you might be right, Dave. I'm reading lots of things that say that he is. I'm looking at the skull and bones on his shirt now, and it says it's a well-established fact that Glenn Beck is part of a secret society. He wears his shirts with a Masonic logo on them in plain sight, but his agenda is cleverly disguised to the untrained eye. He's shown his allegiance to the plan of globalization by the projects he has selected. Glenn has furthered the one world religion by bringing Christians together with false religions onto common ground, so they could attempt to save our country from going down the drain. It's basically then gives a bunch of maybe
this whole thing is them trying to get out in front of the electrostatics argument and own it. So when flat earthers, say, yeah, we've been saying that, they're like, oh yeah, whatever.
We knew that.
It's already out. They're controlling it.
Could it be, Dave, that they want somebody to discover that the Earth is flat on December 14th?
Can't rule it out.
And then Neil deGrasse Tyson and those guys are going down there right after, so that they can cry. I don't know. I always think back to, man, Austin told me 4 years ago that they eventually will adopt flat Earth, and I was like, I can't see. There's no way. And he's like, no, they've already got it planned that they're going to. It will become the truth eventually, and that just is kind of everything's lining up. Weird. What about like this is why they say Candace Owens is a psyop, is because everyone's saying, why now is she finding flat Earth? Where has she been for 10 years? How would she have not heard of this?
Must be the same with Roseanne also.
Roseanne as well. Can you show us your conversation with Candace Owens? By the way, I like Candace. She's hot. Just because of what she said recently. Didn't like her before that.
You want me to play it?
Yeah, please. That was good.
Let me do it so I don't have to play it through the speakers. Let me just find it on my computer.
Sure. And if people don't know, if you haven't checked out, she did a good podcast, a short one you could watch called Zack. What's the name of it exactly? Why she's leaving the cult of science or something?
Yeah, I dropped it in chat. And I timestamped it. She even mentions flat Earth. Like she's looking into flat Earth. Her husband asked her, "What are you reading over there?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm reading some stuff about flat Earth."
And you timestamped it.
Just imagine being married to me. I mean, my poor husband, he rolls over. He's like, "What are you reading?" And I feel like a regular wife says something, I don't know, maybe a love series, Nora Roberts, sweeping her away. Me, on the other hand, he rolled over, he asked me, and I said, "Oh, I'm reading a flat Earth theory." And it dawned into an entire conversation. He's like, why are you reading a flat Earth theory? And I'm like, because somebody messaged me on Manect about it, and they included some links, and I'm just reading them. I don't know. I'm just an interested.
What did she say? Somebody messaged me on what?
On Manect is a way that you can message her where you pay to speak with somebody.
Oh, Manect. Okay, I've never even heard of it.
Person, no matter what, if there's a bunch of people that believe something, I now want to know what it is that they believe. And of course, he pushed me on this, and he was talking about the Earth curvature and science. And I said to him, listen, I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a round earther. Actually, what I am is I am somebody who has left the cult of science. I have left the mega church of science, because what I have now realized is that science, what it is actually, if you think about it, is a pagan faith. I'm going to give you an example of exactly what it is I'm talking about in case you think you disagree. A woman tweeted this. You may have seen me retweet this over the weekend. Her name is Beth. She wrote this. Years ago, I was assured that...
Let's go there. And then, so Dave, pick up the story from where you come into it.
I got it. Let me, I can play it, but I just got to play it into my speaker. Tell me if this sounds good. You ready?
It won't be Jewy, so it'll sound better than you.
It's about 2 minutes. So,
okay.
Tell me if
me and trying to derail me on Twitter, X. I mean, I've been dealing with
we can hear it
forever. So that doesn't really.
Hold on.
You start over. We hear it fine.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, David, I think your name did come up. Do not worry about people pinging me and trying to derail me on Twitter, X. I mean, I've been dealing with that forever. So that doesn't really deter me. And like I said on my show yesterday, it seems weird to me that people aren't just interested in knowing what other people think. Like, that's where I come from. It, like, I'm also very interested in knowing what people believe religiously, So if I pick up and I read the Quran or the Talmud, it's not because I'm going to become a Jew or a Muslim. It's because I like to know what drives people and what their beliefs are. And of course, part of that process is if you're willing to challenge yourself, a lot of the times you realize you were wrong. And so I meant that sincerely. Good morning. How are you? When I had said that I am just humble enough to look into everything, no matter how wacky it sounds. And believe me, this sounds pretty wacky. I've just been so wrong. I've just been so wrong in the past about everything. And the more the medical establishment and the science community lies, I'm like, okay, how can I think anything is wacky? I mean, my instincts were obviously right about the moon landing, and they all made me feel like I was so stupid for saying that. Like, it just sounds cartoonish. Like, the whole thing looks and sounds cartoonish. And then after let's get scientific. It was just like, nope, moon landing not happened. It was an entire psychological operation. And because I'm faithful and I don't believe, now for me, if the science doesn't come from the Bible, I just don't trust it. The Bible didn't tell me to vaccinate my kids. I don't vaccinate my kids. I feel like everything that I have done that has actually been grounded in truth, and I'm talking about incontrovertible truth, has come from the Bible. It did not come from scientists who have deemed themselves deities of our lives. So Anyways, thank you. I will definitely check out your website. And like I said, I have heard of you. But also there's people that believe in Hollow Earth. So I'll check that out too. Because that sounds crazy to me. But I'm just an interested person. I'm like, I don't know. It's like illegal to be interested. I will check it out. Anyways.
You cannot be interested. That is not allowed. McToon will call you a liar.
To be interested.
Yes, you can't do it. It's just, you must believe only what you're told in school and bow down to the, like she said, the priests of scientism, which is what we've been saying for 9 years. So, hey, we're making a dent. We're making a dent at least,
Making a dent. I think there's a complete disaster happening right now for them.
They may be falling apart at the seams.
Horribly.
I did want to get to that person who just sent that. I got to find out where do I go, Streamlabs. Let me pull up because it went away. Here we go. We got the advanced activity feed. All right, let's open that. All right, so we've got a donation from Dakota Dunn. Thank you very much, Dakota. $100 says, message, congratulations to Witsit family and welcome Aurora. My oldest sister's name is Aurora. She is more than 50 years old. This name is timeless. Such a beautiful name. It is a great name. I do like it. I wonder what her middle name is.
Aurora Word Salad Witsit.
Word Salad Witsit.
I hope not.
Did you guys ever watch that show? God, it was so dumb. The League.
About fantasy football?
Yeah.
Now it came on after wrestling, which is just as bad, but I never
bet
watched it.
his son's birthright name.
Oh, no.
And he named him Taco Bell Chalupa or something like that.
Oh, God.
Chalupa Taco Bell. Something like that. Oh, God.
No, never saw it, show. So that was cool, David. So that was basically where it was just left, though.
Yeah, that's it. Hopefully, maybe she wants to look in deeper, and I'd love to do a Zoom call with her and you, and depending on how deep she wants to dive.
Let's get scientific.
All right, we got CSV for $20. It says congratulations, Witsits. All right, I'm gonna say Witsits. Look, I did get to the goal on my show, even though they were all for you in your birth, but it's right. It still happened on my watch.
Thank you.
Did you really beat Witsit? Did you really beat Austin?
No, I certainly didn't. All right, let's see here. We've got. So, is there anything else you want to talk about the connection between gravity and electrostatics?
No, I just think that's an amazing thing that's happening. Whether Glenn Beck is controlled opposition or not, we're making progress and things are crumbling. I think that kind of doesn't help other people that don't believe in electrostatics. It kind of hurts, but is what it is.
Yeah, there's some people that are pretty upset about it, and they'll just say it's nonsense and it's all from the mainstream. So we're just following the mainstream now. Of course, they'll say
yes, we're Shills, Jeran. You and I.
And what I got to say
I've already been
about
called that enough
is
times.
Then show me. Go. I mean, I have never ever been a wealthy person in my life. I went and got the little toys to play with. It doesn't. You don't have to get the big 6-foot Van de Graaff generator that costs $3,000. You can get a little hand crank one that costs $125, $150, something like that.
Zack,
do some testing
you
yourself.
Manipulated the electrostatic field and made things go up, made things go down. Right? Why don't you go get a gravity manipulator and show us how that's done?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No. At Flattoberfest this year, we're gonna have the plates and the flat curved water, the flat curved still water, for people to go and see that this affects everything. There is nothing. I even might hook just a nail up so people could put their hand up by it and feel the wind blowing on your hand off the tip of the nail when you start cranking up the generator. Electricity controls everything. Everything holds electrostatic potential.
And we know Walter Lewin says that, right? Walter Lewin says that all.
Yeah, this is like well understood physics that's 150 years old.
I'll read this right here. It says, the charged Earth. It has been shown that the Earth is surrounded by a very powerful electrical field. This electrical field has a potential of gaining 120 volts per meter above the ground. This means that between your feet and your head is about 200 volts. We also observe constant lightning activity across the Earth, which indicates a great deal of electrical activity. We also observe in these lightning clouds that the majority of the negative charges gather near the bottom of the cloud, while the positive charges gather near the top, as shown in Figure 2. There is no consensus on why these charges separate, but if you consider that the Earth is a positively charged ball, it would attract the negative charges towards the bottom of the cloud and repel the positive charges towards the top. Furthermore, when lightning strikes, it is primarily moving negative charges from the cloud to an apparently positively charged Earth. The actual details of the strength of the electric field and how this field changes during a thunderstorm is very complex. However, the evidence points to an electrically active Earth, and all that is needed to create an attraction is for the Earth to be very slightly positively charged. Does that sound right? Shouldn't it be negative? I don't know. Small charges add up, defeating gravity. I'm just reading from this paper here. Conclusions. It says common objections to electrostatic gravity. Thinking of gravity as the attraction of a neutral matter to the charged Earth seems to be fairly straightforward. Why is it that this explanation has been largely ignored? One obvious problem is that in order for this hypothesis to work, all astronomical objects like the Earth, Moon, and Sun all have to be positively charged. This hypothesis would predict that all astronomical objects are surrounded by a positive electric field, since it is only the electrons that can get blown off the surface. The Earth does not orbit the Sun because the Sun is negatively charged and the Earth is positively charged. Both must be positively charged, and since similar charges repel, the Earth should be repelled by the Sun. Therefore, an electrostatic gravity is impossible. However, remember that neutrally charged matter makes up 99.9999% of the matter in a celestial object, is attracted to any point charge source. To the Earth...
Yeah, he's saying the Earth is positively charged. You were right before. It is... it's negative compared to the field around it.
Okay.
You would say. It has a lower potential than the field around it.
Gotcha.
I don't even deal in positive and
because that's the thing.
anymore.
Once I learned that, it's not even worth telling you like that.
So, yeah, we're... pretty much even like in their model, there has to be a positive charge from space coming from somewhere. And then they claim the ionosphere, which is, from 400 to 16,000 miles or whatever. They say, different parts, it's different or whatnot, however they claim it. But yeah, that's like stopping all those ionic winds and all these charged particles from destroying the Earth. And it's somehow magically making it so it all works to where it all flows evenly down on the Earth, evenly in all places. It's magical mystery foo-foo is what it is. Like, they're not saying the sun's causing it. Even, mainstream physics doesn't claim it's the sun that's doing it. That's creating this huge positive charge out of it. They're saying it's cosmic stuff.
Right. This is an interesting paragraph here. It's just talking about another reason to reject the electrostatic gravity is because gravity is so much weaker than the electrostatic force. Gravity is only 1 over the 1 followed by 37 zeros, the strength of the electrostatic force. So, of course, it couldn't possibly be the same thing. Or could it? The simple explanation here is that gravity is a diluted electrostatic force. If you took a group of 1 times 10 to the 37th atoms and removed just 1 electron from that group, it would produce a force which is exactly equivalent and equal in the force of gravity. The magnitude of the force is actually irrelevant. You can always dilute a stronger force into a weaker one by spreading it across more mass. Finally, gravity cannot be electrostatic because gravity is only attractive and the electrostatic force both attracts and repels. However, this argument completely ignores the fact that neutrally charged matter is unconditionally attracted to any point charge. This is all attractive force we see as gravity. We don't see gravity as a repulsive force since it can only be generated by large, slightly charged masses. These slightly charged masses can only attract one another. All of these obvious objections and others can be easily dismissed if one takes the time to do a careful analysis of how the electrostatic gravity could work. And this would explain also the Cavendish, right? Cavendish would then have those two items attracted to each other. Conclusions. This paper has attempted to show that the gravity could simply be an aspect of a well-known electrostatic force. It is just an attraction of neutral matter to a point charge source, and all astronomical objects act like a point charge source. This starts by simply observing that charged objects, like the ordinary hair comb, can attract neutrally charged matter, and then extending that attractive power to the whole Earth or universe in general. This paper has not proven that gravity is the electrostatic force. However, it has provided simple and suggested experiments which could either confirm or deny this hypothesis. So
he's got it backwards. He's saying the Earth and the Sun are both positively charged.
He's saying they would have to be, is what he's saying. I don't,
Yeah, it would have to be. He's not. See, he's still on a spinning ball. If you just put it between two capacitor plates, two Gaussian surfaces, however you want to make the one up in the sky, then you would have a dipole system, because even neutral is going to have this electrostatic force on it, because even if it's neutral, when you put it in an electric field, it's going to have the less potential try to go towards the positive, and the high potential is going to go towards the lower potential side of the field. So it's going to polarize all matter. No matter how it's charged, matter's going to get polarized in that field. It's going to follow along with the vector, is what it's going to do. And the highest potential is going to go towards, the vector.
Gotcha. And I'll put this paper, if anybody wants to read it, is gravity just the electrostatic force? It'll be in t.me/Jeran links, if you so want it. Okay. Dave, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about Shill stuff?
Sure. Whatever you want. I'm in.
Well, I mean...
Did you watch his thing with Roseanne?
No, talk about it, though. I watched a little bit of it. It started out good.
I thought it was awesome. I love her. Is that her son?
That's her son, Jake, yeah.
He's a cool guy.
And, I'll tell you, after we were done, I was hanging out for a while, and, Roseanne was totally open to the idea because of her talk with Eddie. He's like, I'm a little more skeptical. I still think it's a globe. When we're done, he's like, you made a lot of good points there. He goes, I got some more research to do. And Roseanne was like, she's like, Jake, this is really exciting. We have some new stuff to look into. Like, she's all about it. And they want to have me back. So that's interesting. We'll see what happens. It'd be great if everybody could kind of share it. And if we became her number one viewed podcast on Rumble and on YouTube, if you watch it on one, go watch it on the other, just to give another view. And that would say a lot. I've gotten tons of feedback from her fans. Go read the comments. A lot of comments are like, I thought this was crazy. He made a lot of points. I went to his website. I watched this. I watched that. So it was effective, whatever it is. It was effective. And I'm getting lots of emails from people saying, I'm new to this. This is great. Where should I go first? And it's working. I'm very happy with it.
Excellent.
And what's funny is that in studio, I don't have my graphics. I don't have my stuff.
Right. I know. I saw you there with your iPad.
Yeah, I tried to pull up a few things on the iPad, which was
did a really good job, though. I think they put in like every picture you shared with them, because on the YouTube version, at least, I mean, it was popping up pictures constantly of what you guys were talking about.
I gotta go watch the YouTube version.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, because I had sent him all the images afterwards, but it came out pretty good. And I got another big one coming out, two on July. They're probably both coming out on July 17th. One is The Way Forward with Zack. He's got a really big audience, the medical freedom audience, and then Luke's Story, and it's kind of the same setup in studio, tons of cameras, and we had great conversations. One of them went 3.5 hours. The other one went like 3 hours. Roseanne, we went a half an hour over because she was having a good time. So it's just we're at that critical point right now, that turning point where everyone's freaking out. I was talking to Jeran earlier. I was like, this is the point. If you believe in good and evil, which I do, evil is freaking out right now. They're like, we need to just get everybody flipping out and doing whatever it can. And that's why I wrote in the chat earlier, everybody just relax.
Calm down.
Relax. Calm down. Just focus on the good. Like, you know what?
Well, can we focus on the one show, though? We should focus on the one show, I think.
Oh, which one, Eric?
Yes.
Yeah, we could do that for a minute, because sometimes you have to poke the bear.
Well, it's not poking the bear. It's just making an observation that everybody should make, which is you have the definition of a shill is the person who gets there first. He gets there and sets up everything that comes after that. And you have Eric DeBay, who got here first. Came out with a book in 2014 before he ever even mentioned it. He already had a book written. That's crazy.
Okay, let's get science.
Which was plagiarized, by the way. It's a plagiarization. He just stole Robotham's work. But anyway, that's besides the point. So then Eric has been lying to people, and I discovered this just recently. I guess I've never looked at the 200 proofs recently, and he's just lying in there. So people need to recognize that. Somebody is lying to you. You've also got somebody who's now backtracking on what they said at the beginning. They originally said there is no 24-hour sun in Antarctica. It's never been seen, blah, blah, blah. Now, all of a sudden, somebody wants to go down there and observe it, and he's changed his tune. Now, there might be. Miss Blount said that there is, and if there is, it doesn't make a difference. This is somebody who's backtracking. This is what a shill does. Protects themselves, hides out in Thailand, gets $100,000 vaccine injury things, has connections to DC, is a lady boy. I mean,
and
it just goes on and on.
Every other flat earther is shill.
Yeah, there's not one flat earth creator that has been left alone by Eric that he says is good or decent. It's just him. He's the only good one. And think about the fractionalization that has happened to this community. And one of the main reasons might be it's because of him. Every single person that came in.
Does he know that he's a shill, or is he just being manipulated by evil and doesn't know
That could be it. And, it could be that he has people around him that are always saying, oh, this guy's this and this guy's that. Could be. Could very well be. But what you have to be, what I say, hey, yeah, we have all the right to change, but I hear you with being a ladyboy. Well, I mean, again, dressing up in dresses, doing all the things that he's done, it just makes no sense. If I told Dave Weiss today, Dave, you can bring the entire Flat Earth community together. You can become the president. Nobody will even say a word. Just step forward and say, hey, let's all get along. Let's forget all these shill talks and let's come together and let's go forward. He would do it in a heartbeat. I would do it in a heartbeat. Zack would do it in a heartbeat. Witsit would do it in a heartbeat. ODD would do it in a heartbeat. You name any creator, they would step up and do that. There's only one who refuses. There's only one.
And he's the only one that can do it.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
He's the only one that could step into a position of president tomorrow, and not one person would bat an eye or object.
Now, let me take the other side of this argument.
Okay.
Eric Bay has woken up a lot of people, right?
Sure.
He's partially responsible for waking me up, right? Alex Jones is partially responsible for waking me up. I put them in the same category. So, yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but let's not, let's just recognize it and take our energy in the proper direction. We are heading in a fantastic direction.
Well, what people need to do is people need to be smart. Like, you can either do one of two things. You can either give your opinions away to us creators, or you can learn to use your head. And when you hear things like Dave Weiss is a shill or I'm a shill, you just need to think about what things have we done that could be considered shilly. Now, if you want to say, oh, Jeran, well, you went on Behind the Curve, you can go ask anybody that was on Behind the Curve that it was actually a documentary crew that came to me and said, I was the last one to sign the paper, who came to me and said, hey, can we film your experiment? I'm like, I guess we're just doing an experiment. And I kind of figured if it didn't go well or something, it wouldn't make a documentary. Why would you want a failed experiment in your documentary that's supposed to highlight flat earthers? So again, that's one mark against me for sure. But you know what happened in that situation. And I've been able to show it numerous times that you can see the emails of these people admitting that there was several observations. That's what people don't realize. There was observations that showed it at 17 feet, showed it at 23 feet, and they just chose one out. Now imagine if the roles were reversed. Imagine that I went out there and did that experiment, and we took one observation of us seeing it at 17 feet, which happened a lot, and we took that video film and we brought it back and I made a video and said we proved the flat earth. That's the equivalent of what they did. They took one observation and said we proved the globe earth. Even though, and it's so funny because Toon recently, or somebody told me, hey, Toon he did a review of your experiment. I'm like, what do you mean he did a review of the experiment? Oh, he took the numbers from what you showed in the show. I'm like, dude, that's one observation out of 50. You cannot take one thing that we did out of 50 and make mathematics on it and then come to some conclusion. What about the other 49 observations? So it's like ridiculous. But anyway, the moral of the story is you've got people out there who have just spouting off who's a shill, who's controlled opposition. It's insane. It's insane. And the reason that I think it happens, let me just say this real quick, Dave. This is what I noticed. When somebody does that, let's say there's some nobody channel. Many of you probably know who I'm talking about. I don't want to say their name because I think that they're idiots. Anyway, if somebody makes a video and they say...
If you say their name?
Huh?
You lose brain cells if you say their name.
Well, this is somebody different in this case.
Okay.
No. But this person does a video where they say, basically, Jeran's a shill. He's a controlled opposition. I believe this now fully because I disagreed with their research, which makes a lot of sense, right? If you don't agree with somebody that Bob Enyart killed John Benet Ramsey, then you're controlled opposition. This is how dumb this community's gotten. So everybody who watches that video, because you guys are such pussies and you're afraid to stand up for somebody, not one person stood up for me in any of the chats, in any of the comments, and said, no, Jeran's not that. You got that wrong. It's because everybody's afraid. They don't want the finger coming at them. They don't want to be pointed at. People are so afraid. So what happens is you've got everybody in the chat and everybody in the comments that just chime in and agree, and it makes that video look like it's got some sort of substance. And then people come in from outside. They see it. They're looking for a contrarian point of view. There isn't one. So they buy into this line. It's because people don't think for themselves. People want to be led. So I'm just telling you, don't fall into that trap. Do not be led.
Just Jared, be careful when you say this community. That's everybody. Some people in this community. Just say it that way, because it's not everybody.
It's not everybody.
I know that
it's
not everybody, and I don't even think it's near a majority of the people. It's some people get sucked into this, and and just don't say everybody. Don't say the whole.
Here's the difference: is that when I see somebody go out, and here's the thing: Bob Enyart is my technically opponent in this situation, right? Will Duffy is my opponent, but I'm the kind of person that if you're going to come and make a video where you talk shit about somebody or claim that and you don't have evidence, I stand up for what's right. But there's not people who do that because people are pussies, and I'm getting the brunt of it now because I stood up for somebody.
They'll just agree with whatever.
They just agree with whatever,
saying something they want to hear.
Right, and they'll just agree with it because it's if you don't, then the finger comes pointing at you, and people are afraid to be called out. They don't want to be called out on these channels. They don't want to be their name to be out there. So they don't want to go to this.
This isn't just happening here.
No, it happens everywhere.
Follow politics at all?
Happens everywhere.
Politics is insane right now.
And when something gets to a tipping point, the political situation, everything, when something's about to go to that tipping point, people go a little nuts. Whatever the reason is, spiritually, whatever it is, people go a little nuts. But those of you with your heads on your shoulders, just maintain, allow people to be who they are. Take your energy away from them. Don't give them your energy, and you'll come out the other side.
But Dave, do you believe that we have a collective energy?
I do, and
Okay.
I believe that the trolls try to suck our energy out.
And they do a great job. You know why? Because we would if we came together ever. This is what I'm talking about with Eric Dubé. That if he would just bring the community together, the benefits of that would be we'd be unstoppable.
It would be over. It would be done.
Right.
The Earth would be.
So this is my point: is that in every instance, this community is about tearing people apart. It's never about getting behind anybody. Nobody's ever gotten behind anybody. They don't do it. We don't come together and say, "Oh, this person's going to go to this. Let's all get behind him." We demonize it. We destroy it. They go after it. They attack it. They do everything. It's like people like it. They like to attack and they like to say, "This guy's lying and this guy's a liar and this guy's a Satanist and this guy's a Jew and this guy." That's what this community does. We'll never, ever get anywhere if we do that. You'll never get anywhere because the collective energy is going into the negative. It's negative everywhere.
I got it, but it can change.
Of course it can change. That's what we're talking about.
This time. You just have to get through this time. And listen.
But if you get through this time and nothing changes, if we get through this time and nothing changes, then the same thing will happen next time. In fact, this final experiment could even be played against us for that reason. They knew, if we do this, that no flat earthers will ever come together. They'll never back each other. I mean, let me just say, in a perfect world, people think they're like, oh, and Duffy hand selected you. No, he did a poll, jackasses. He didn't hand select me, he didn't hand select Whitsitt. It was a poll. So when we get named or whatever, if people would have why wouldn't people get behind us? Why wouldn't there be an excitement about, go down there and let's go see what you see. This is the first time we had an opportunity to see. Instead, it became about, oh no, you'll die. They'll kill you. They're going to fake the sun. They're going to do this. Well, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that.
But people got nervous. People freaked out.
So people will always get nervous. I'm
just telling you, I'm not making excuses for people, but they're afraid that they're going to fake it. I think they're going to fake something. I think they're going to run with the story. But you made a good point yesterday.
Make them fake it.
They always run with the bullshit story. They always do. We've dealt with it before. That we should go down and observe, and and it's not going to change anything. It's not final. It's not an experiment, and I think it's going to backfire in their faces.
Well, I think so too, but I just think that now it's been so destroyed. There is no positive energy going towards it. In fact, it's all negative, that nobody wants to go now. Who wants to go down there with everybody rooting against you? Who wants to go down there with a community that thinks you're a shill? I don't want to go down there. Why would I want to go down there?
Listen, Jeran, how many people think you're a shill?
A lot.
A lot. I mean, it's the same number of people that think I'm a shill because RV said I was in a 7-Up commercial, which is true. I was 15.
I guess the way to look at it is here's the way to look at it is, are those people just followers?
They might be.
Well, they mostly are. They're not thinking for themselves.
I don't think anyone here thinks that.
Okay, I'm not talking about people here. I'm saying there are people. There's a reason why my numbers are down, that a lot of people's numbers are down, that people are not thinking for themselves. They are just listening to what others say and then buying into it.
So the best thing to do is set a good example. Maintain, speak your mind, keep moving forward. Don't focus on the shit. And then
I tried to set a good example. I tried to set a good example when they, somebody says, "Oh, do you want to go to Antarctica?" And it's like, you know what? Sure, why not? I'm willing to go down there. I'm willing to take that chance. I'm willing to go down and make an observation.
You think people's opinions will change in the next 6 months?
Of what?
Of course they will. Everything changes. On everything.
No.
On your going to Antarctica.
No, whoever decides to go will be called a shill. That's what this community does. What do you mean
about that?
Wow.
I don't know about that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. If anybody goes, they've already demonized Duffy and demonized Bob Enyart to the point that there's many people who think Bob Enyart had anything to do with John Benet Ramsey. There's no connection at all. The research is the worst I've ever seen, but people follow it. That just tells me people are followers. People aren't smart enough to do their own research. I just have been realizing that. I didn't know that it would take me having to say, there's no connection between these two people that you've done an 8-hour stream about. There's none. There's no connection. And people are like, people told me, they're like, yeah, there is. He was their pastor. I'm like, no, he wasn't. Oh, but they went to his church. No, they didn't. This is where I'm saying is that people are just like listening to other people and like making assumptions based on what these guys are saying, even though it's not good research. So it's just baffling to me that I thought that this community was more about open-mindedness and free thought and kind of like, I guess like, do people really expect people to all believe the same thing? Like, why can't it be?
No.
It'll never be that. And in fact, life would suck.
At one point when I was real naive, I thought, oh yeah, we'll just figure out the truth and we'll just share that, and then everybody will believe it.
Right.
But it doesn't work that way.
So like, but we have to be okay with the fact that everybody's going to believe something different. Like this community, to have the feeling that like you either believe in relative density or you believe in electrostatics, and we have to be in different camps. It's so dumb. It's painfully dumb that we can't realize that like, right. Don't you want to have Oakley on your side? Don't we want to go back to the days of where we watched the show and watched them school Globers and laugh and have a great old time? Don't you want to go back to the days where we watched RV and RV had good research? Don't you want to go back to?
But I gotta defend our side on that. Oakley just alienated.
You're missing the point. You're missing the point. What I'm saying is the reason that got segregated is because these people who segregate is because we had difference of a belief. That was it. We didn't differ on the flat Earth. Every one of us believes in the flat Earth. RV, Oakley, Dubé, me, you, the jackasses Ronnie and Jason. So we all have the same belief, yet we're so segregated because of just a different opinion. And if you demonize everybody and say everybody's a shill and say everybody's a Mason and everybody's an agent, then we will forever be segregated. And I'm starting to think maybe people want that. Maybe people like the idea of being controlled by a government and being held down because they would realize
kind of bred to do that.
Right.
We have sports teams and, this and that and different gangs and different politics. And it's crazy.
I think that there's power in coming together. I think I've talked about it before, like why home teams win sports games is because there's power when you come together with a like-minded cause, when you have the same cause. But we don't have that. It's so broken up. I do think it come back, Dave. I'm certainly on your side that we can change that. It's going to take, again, that's why it sucks that Eric Dubé just can't step up and be like, all right, let's get over it. Nobody's a shill. Like, what good has shill calling been come about? Like, who is the shill that we've exposed, Eric? You've talked about this for 9 years. You've called every one of us a shill. So name one shill that you caught. The answer is zero.
Con.
The answer is 0.
Whoever's running the con. Yeah, it's been a long.
Me and you.
Yeah.
Me and you. Come on, Jeran. Talk about your Bitcoin scam, and me trying to control all the flat Earth information, so no one can find anything anywhere else.
Well, you're actually were knighted by a Freemason, right?
Yeah.
You are
Is that the story?
selling the data from the app to Elon Musk.
Yeah, you know where I'm at all the time because
Exactly.
that's why you always call me and be like, "Do you have the app on?" Yeah. Okay. Well, I just want to know where you're at.
I just wanted to. I already know that you have it on. Come on.
That's true. You do. So anyway, I mean, I want people to think for themselves when we hear these people called out. At least think about what's being said. Is it like the first time you've ever heard something, or is it the first time that somebody's been? We don't need to jump in and believe these things, and it's okay if somebody believes something different than you. Like I'm still upset or sad about the Mandela community because all I did was say a couple of them didn't make sense to me, or a couple of them I didn't agree with. And that that segregated that community. They don't want anything to do with me. They don't watch my show. And it's because we had a different, but why couldn't we just be like, okay, I don't believe in some of them, but I do believe in some. Some of them are without a doubt real, at least in my mind. So like, why is that not okay to say? Why do we have to buy into people's complete ideology like it's a religion?
Because of my experience in publishing, I know about the Bernstein Bears, and I think that was just a mismemory because it's a weird name. But maybe I'm wrong, but that's my belief. Big deal.
Right, and then you have other ones that you do agree with, right? Like, I mean, for me, I Love Lucy.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Tons of them. So that's what I'm saying is that I don't know why we got into this position where I don't know if it's ego things, where if you don't believe somebody exactly what they believe, that then they become the enemy. Think about that in any other walk of life. How many things do you believe the same as your boss at work? How many things do you believe the same as your mailman or your anything? Think about it. You have such vast different beliefs, but you're able to coexist. But in this YouTube world, for some reason, we don't coexist. It's like there's a wall there. And I do think Zach's right. We've been bred that way. And it is like, well, that's why I say if there's any shill, it's Eric Dubay. Because who brought the word shill into the flat earth? Who brought the idea of making a shill list, my top 10 shill list on his channel? And who brought the idea of demonizing anybody who comes up? Every single person who's ever created a video has been called a shill by Eric Dubay.
It's also Eddie Bravo a shill for Eric Dubay.
Good question. I don't know if he called Eddie Bravo.
Because maybe I see that pattern in the Spanish community, and
Same thing.
They don't have the balls to. I mean, for me, it's just an ego. It's jealous or whatever they have in their minds. It happens, in every corner.
Do you see it? Do you see it repairing? Do you see it repairing in the Spanish community, or does it degrade continuously, getting worse and worse and worse and worse over time?
Well, yeah, I can tell you that my person is the most attacked person for trolls, from trolls and from friends or flat earthers. And at the beginning, in the first 2 or 3 years, before I understand how not just only YouTube, but also the psychological mind of a regular person works, I trying to attend and trying to discuss and make videos, reaction and things like that. And then I just get boring and leave people talks and teach with the we said in Spanish, I don't know if the same thing in English, we teach with examples, so I trying to keep clean and don't enter in that pink sauce. That is how we call it literally in Spanish. But the thing, the same thing happens. And what I see is that the movement is keep growing, and maybe some people at the beginning believe, but if they make their own research and trying to find, if you are a good person, immediately you're going to all the people that are research your person is going to find out that that is what you are. And if you are a totally crap and neurotic and aggressive person, they're gonna find out that too, and then you can just separate information from the person.
Well, the hard part is now is it's very
Nathan Oakley.
It's very difficult to find the information now. That's what I'm worried about. is that they've really, so like if you're a new person coming into this, it is so difficult. And so if you go looking, what are you going to find first? The information you're looking for, or some fight that discourages you from continuing to look?
Well, yes,
That's
that's
what I
true.
mean.
And in
It's
fact,
rendered with
we have
Redshift.
the
Everything
same
will be rendered
issues,
with
not
Redshift,
just
but I won't
in
talk too
Spanish.
much on
If you
Who's that?
if
the
you
render. It
Google
will be really
Flat Earth in
particles.
Spanish,
Hold on,
you
who's
will
talking?
find
One
the first
example, we
10
have
pages.
Hold on. Somebody's talking. Hold on.
old
Globbers.
sketch and tune.
Who's that?
This one is funny because
me.
it's very fast.
Ah, no,
and
sorry. What
almost-
the sound?
Yeah.
Ah, no, I was playing in the background the video, but I don't share screen or sound. Was crazy.
Okay,
But what
yeah.
I say
Go ahead.
is that if you Google Flat Earth in Spanish, you're gonna find the 10 first pages of Glober's explanation.
Right. Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what's tough.
But yeah,
It's-
it's difficult to find out in nowadays. But at the same time, there is a lot of really good new, especially in English, channels coming out too.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. I mean, that's why I think what Dave does is of tantamount importance, and I wish more people would point to it. I think a lot of people do, but remember that a person cannot find the information on YouTube anymore. So we have to get them to go to the app or to the website when it comes out with the website where they can find the videos that have been hidden. I mean, there's a reason why these videos are being hidden. There's a reason why. This has been a concerted effort to segregate this community. And I think it's to keep more people, because it's one of those snowball effects, right? Like if we were a huge cohesive unit, then we would just be gaining numbers massively. And it would be a snowball, it would just keep gaining and keep gaining. And we would already be past where we need to be. The problem is when you segregate it, you've now made it very difficult. It's like a minefield. Somebody who comes in who's new, they have to make sure they find the right person. If they find the wrong person, then they're going to be, okay, these guys are, I got to watch out for this. And I think it will discourage people. I can't imagine me finding Flat Earth now and being like I am because when I found out I was able to look things up, I was able to find people. There was no fighting. It wasn't like, can you imagine now? Where would you go? How would you know what to watch? How would you know what channels to watch? How would you know who to trust?
Jeran, that's why like when I'm on Roseanne, I send everyone to my website 10 times. I mentioned my website. I didn't send them to Eric Dubay. I didn't mention other names because then they're going to Google. I sent them to my website. Right?
Flat Earth
and
Dave,
it's
yeah.
working because the amount of messages I'm getting, people are finding the content. They're like, oh my God, Earth is flat. We're new to this. People that want T-shirts. It's incredible, but you have to send them somewhere. That's why I made those cards for Fly Me to the Moon.
Right.
With the QR that takes them to the app and to my website.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, Dave's got the answer.
You could say that's the Jew in me trying to make money. No, I'm trying to wake people up. I couldn't fucking care less about anything else. I just want to wake people up. Show me a better way.
Yeah, and I have to admit that I've not seen anybody work like Dave has from the last 6-7 years, and that's just a real truth. That the guy, if he wants something done, he starts working on it. If people bullshit it or say it's not, that ain't gonna work, he doesn't care. He will keep working at it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But most things he can make work. So it's just I'm just wondering what is everybody else doing? I just picture somebody coming off the street, hearing about Flat Earth, like Candace. What is she going to look into? What is she going to find if she goes and tries to look into Flat Earth? You can't find it on Google. You can't find it on YouTube. So we have to have her find something. And if it was a cohesive unit, it didn't matter where they went. They could go watch GLOBEBUSTERS. They could go watch Nathan Oakley. They could go watch Behind the Imaginary Curve. They could go watch anybody. But now I'm just like, okay, what if she finds Nathan Oakley? What if she finds Dell from Behind the Imaginary Curve and thinks the Earth is moving upwards? So now it's like it's a minefield. Now you have to get lucky to get somebody to find Flat Earth. That's what I think is a little bit more difficult now than it's been. That's all.
Crazy. I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, they've done a magnificent job controlling the information. I'll give them that. You got to take your hat off to your enemy when they're doing something well. And yeah, they're doing an awesome job, keeping us divided by not being even able to find, like you were saying.
Dave, did you hear that the Flat Earth Society got rid of the moving upwards?
Did the Flat Earth Society have the moving up? Oh yeah, they did. I forgot. I ignore that. No, I did not hear anything about that.
Yeah, I guess that they got rid of it, and somebody told me they have my videos on their website. I got to go look. We have
Interesting.
Super.
That means you're a shell.
Of course. I mean, that's the
right
thing.
there.
Superfluid, like I'm the one who, superfluidity of naughtiness, says Mr. Theory. My theory, sorry. This shill funk lack of unity is spurned to a large degree by too many folks using weed or some other type of sorcery, pharmakia, paranoia.
I disagree. I disagree. Roseanne smoked 2 joints before our interview. She smoked 1, came in, and said, "Are we ready?" And Jake goes, "I need 2 more minutes." She goes, "Okay, I'll go smoke another joint."
Yeah, well.
And she did.
I think everything is in moderation. I think that, again, but I do think people are paranoid. I think people are, their egos are too involved with, I guess that happens with YouTube. I've tried to make sure that doesn't take place with me, but other people, who knows? I mean, how could somebody go from having no problem with me, then I make a video where I say, hey, I disagree with this guy's research for this reason, and then I'm controlled opposition. Like, imagine that. Imagine somebody making a video and saying, oh, I disagree with Jeran on this topic, and then me saying, oh, that means they're controlled opposition. Like, what? Because they don't agree with you? Like, people need to recognize that. Like, that's not a reason to call somebody controlled opposition because they disagree with you. That's not controlled opposition. Have we gotten, now those words mean nothing anymore. What does shill or controlled opposition mean? I've heard everybody called it. It has no.
Yeah, I think Dave's
no teeth.
right. It's crescendoing to something. Not only the truth coming out, but like the truth coming out across, not just about the Earth, but on so many different fronts right now. That people are acting erratic. Like that's great advice Dave was giving earlier. Just saying, just
relax,
keep calm. Think of. What's the movie?
Listen,
don't panic.
Wait, this is a spiritual war, whether you believe it or not. It is a spiritual war.
Yes.
There are forces of evil. Evil is freaking out right now and is looking for anybody that's weak-minded that they can get in and take over. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't believe in that. Well, sorry, it's not about believing. It's about understanding and knowing how this world works. So that's going on. And just everybody relax. Stay within yourself. Focus. Be good.
Yeah, I like
Treat
that.
Everyone good.
I like that idea. I would just disagree that I think rather than it being external, it's internal. Meaning that you can find Satan inside you or you can find God.
Sure.
Right.
Yes.
And people who are egotistical, people who are very skeptical, out to get people, those people find Satan inside them. They do become demonic. They do get taken over by the archons. Whereas,
there you go. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Right. And the people who are, take the Jesus road, which is the kingdom of God is inside you, and be peace within yourself and follow truth. And my one advice would be if somebody calls somebody else something, make sure you get the other person's point of view. As hard as that might sound, do not trust RV when he says Dave's a shill, guaranteed 100%. That there's no reason why at this point.
Wait a minute, he said guaranteed 100%.
He did. I know. Don't believe it. But it's like rather than believe somebody, and I think that a lot of people just follow along and believe. When it's that kind of an accusation, you just don't buy into those things. If I tell you something about somebody, don't buy into what I say. Actually look at the evidence and go ask the other person.
Let me, because I've gotten a bunch of emails from some flat earthers and trolls saying, RV said you're in a commercial. Let me just tell you in 30 seconds. When I was 15 years old, this guy that lived in our neighborhood said, hey, we're doing a 7-Up commercial with Larry Bird at Madison Square Garden. We need some extras. We're going to pay you $150 or $250, which is a lot of money back then.
Crazy not to go meet.
And wait, we're going to take you in on this luxury bus. We're going to feed you lunch. We're going to feed you dinner, and we're going to give you tickets to the friggin' game, to a game of your choosing. Right? They give you 4 tickets each. Like, I'll do it. Everyone in my neighborhood, we all did it. We had a great day, right? And then I happened to be picked out of the audience to stand right behind Larry Bird after he drank his 7-Up and said, feeling up. I was patting him on the back, saying, good job. And that's my acting career. That's it. I've never done anything else. And that 100% for sure, without a doubt, makes me a shill. Now, anyone that says that, that they're mentally retarded.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly the point. I mean, we need to be smart in that. Think of the nonsense that is that if you've ever been in a commercial that you are now compromised. Like what? Especially somebody in the past. If Dave was in a commercial yesterday, maybe you have a comment, but it's just, I don't think people are thinking. They're just believing these creators who just say things. And by the way, if a creator says things over and over again that cannot be proven, You need to think about why they would do that. Everything that RV believes cannot be proven. O.J. Simpson didn't happen. It's fake. How are you ever going to prove that? Alex Stein's mom didn't die. How are you going to prove that she did? Rob Skiba didn't die. How are you going to prove that he did? Think of all the things that he says, that he says them on purpose because he can't be proven wrong. That should be a sign to you. He's just saying things that he knows he can never be proven wrong. He'll never go on the limb and say, oh, I think that this happened if it can be proven wrong. That's not RV. RV says the things that it can't be proven. So you have to notice that. There's a reason for that.
And I've done how many thousands of hours of video where he catches my hands making some symbol.
Right, and he's never been on video.
How many times have you captured his hands?
Right. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, I just want people to think like that. Just people, because they don't. They'll just say like, well, David did this hand sign, RV caught. Oh, right. And Dave does 1,000 interviews, and RV has never done one. So, I mean, again, these are the kind of things where he won't say anything unless it can never be proven that he's wrong. That's by design.
I also want to say one thing. People don't want to get involved in the drama, and I'm going to stick up for Banjo for a second. He had RV on. RV went off. He didn't want to get involved. He didn't say anything. He should have said something. I actually lit Banjo up on this. And tonight on his live stream, he's going to mention how he felt about RV's comments and tell RV never ever to bring shit up like that again on his show. So
I haven't heard it. Is it really bad? I haven't even heard it. But again, it's just this nonsense narrative that they keep going with, and it's just garbage. That's what it is. I mean, you would think with all these shill calls, and where's the one that we've exposed? We've been doing this for 9 years, and we've let people call each other shills and controlled opposition, and we've never exposed one. That's weird. Like, we are, what do they say? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We have done that for 9 years. We've banged our heads against the wall. Shill, controlled opposition, shill. But we've never done anything because
that is a great point. Like, has one been exposed other than you and me?
And Tiger Dan, besides
Tiger Dan.
Did you hear on the VIP show yesterday? Somebody said he's back.
What?
Patricia said that Tiger Dan is back.
No.
That's what she said. She said she talked to him.
Well, she's a shill too, her and Mark.
Yeah, right. We did catch them. Thank God. He owns Metatron and is actually Ralph Real, if you didn't know that.
Yes.
So, who knows? Anyway, it's just I agree with Dave. We just need to relax, take a deep breath. Everything will be fine. Make sure you're not just repeating what other people have said. I start hearing people say, "What now? You're going to go down to Antarctica with Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson and Scott Kelly, and these people are going with you." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" "Oh yeah, Duffy did a video." I go, "Watch." He didn't say anything like that. He said that they're going down on a separate trip at another time. But
listen, we all know that the sun does not circle around our heads in Antarctica.
Correct.
We know. Okay, we know that the actual sun, now there might be some sort of specular reflection or something, and that will be exposed. They may try to fake it with some Project Bluebeam projection in the sky, but that's going to be exposed. They might run with a story, flat earthers prove the globe but don't like their results, but that's what they do all the time. Jeran pointed that out to me yesterday. That's what they do all the time. It's not going to help. It's going to bring more attention to flat earth. If we all just focus, get behind Jeran, help him do this trip, get behind Austin. Right? If we all just do that, this is going to be, it could be, Will Duffy could accidentally, or maybe he's controlled opposition on purpose, expose the flat earth and make it mainstream.
I tend to think that there's so many people, we call them right there, that, like I've said, if you get somebody to lie for you, they're a liability. That person could at any time expose the entire thing and cause so many problems. What's better for the establishment is when somebody fully believes it. When somebody believes in what they're saying, Neil deGrasse Tyson believes that these guys are, then they can't be exposed. They can't ever, they believe it so hard. So I do think that this is a kind of it will be co-opted, right? Like soon as Duffy calls ALE, that's where it starts the whole program of somebody saying, oh, there's somebody coming down here to view the sun and somebody's going to get contacted maybe or something. And then that's why I think the trip won't happen or the clouds will be in the sky. But as far as like, Duffy's going to be some, he's in, again, has he got some terrible financial things going on? Yeah, but nobody should care about that. What difference does it make? He's not taking your money. He's not taking my money. He's not taking my time other than, okay, if I have to go buy some clothes, I'm going to take his money, go buy some clothes. If he ends up having to bail because he goes to jail, well, nothing, I didn't get hurt. It was his money. So That's where, and Austin and I have talked about this. We sat down and we discussed things. That's why we said Duffy's got to go. Because at first we're like, wait, Duffy's not going to go? That gets a little bit sketchy. No, he's got to go. It's his idea, his plan, his money. He's going. Great. We cemented that. We both said we wouldn't pay a penny of our own money. Great. We cemented that. We both said we wouldn't crowdfund because we don't think the trip will happen, or we still think it'll be botched or there'll be clouds. So we don't want to tell you guys, hey, everybody donate, and we get this huge donation of $45,000. We go down there for 4 days and we don't see shit. We don't want any part of that. So we've taken the steps ourselves to kind of make sure everything's on the up and up. We talked and we said, if at any point in this trip somebody says, hey, the plane, bro, you and Austin go in that bus, we're going. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Austin and I will not separate from those, because they're not going to kill Duffy, me, McKeegan, Austin, the pilots, the employees. That's not going to happen. So we don't need to worry about that. But if anything happened where they're like, oh, Jeran and Austin, you guys need to ride in that bus, we're going to go over here. That's where we would do. Nope. Sorry. We already told you we're not doing that. So I'm just saying.
If it does happen and they do kill you, thank you for your service.
Well, please do something about it, would you? And please.
Thank you for your service.
Somebody be a good father to Maverick, all right? That's all I got to ask. Actually, I think Upside Down guy wants to take that role if I ever die. So,
okay.
Just remember that.
Thank you for your service.
Yes. No, I don't even necessarily want it to be me at this point. I think there's better options, but I just want it to be a cohesive. I'll get behind whoever it needs to be to go, because it's just very simple.
Wait, by the way, it needs to be somebody. Like, I'm not good. Like, you're so good on Google Earth and azimuths and stuff. Like, I'm retarded when it comes to that stuff. We need somebody down there that can actually measure the azimuth angle and of the sun, for every hour. We need somebody that is good with cameras and all of this stuff. We need somebody that can do that stuff. I'm not that guy.
Yeah, I think that's important. But I think the community being behind the person is important too. Like, that's not a fun trip for anybody. It's not a vacation. If anybody thinks it's a vacation, it's
No, you
cold.
guys are going to be working.
It's cold.
Yeah.
It's miserable. You're going to be up the whole time. You're not going to get. We already said we're not doing anything. We're not going skiing. We're not going penguin watching. We're not doing anything like that. So anyway, I just want people to somehow come together more. And I feel like the last couple months has been a separation, and it feels kind of lonely. To where before it was like, okay, at least we had a nice group going. There's certain people I don't even talk to anymore that I used to talk to. It's just kind of weird. It's kind of like, what's happening here? And I don't know if it's like you said, Dave, why do you think you say people are nervous just because they think something's coming? What did you mean by that?
People are nervous because they think something's coming. Duffy, with his confident attitude and how big of a thing this is, like, maybe, it could be that he is working with the top controllers, NASA. Sure. Who controls Antarctica.
But let me give a situation.
It could be a big trick.
Let's say it is a big trick. Okay, let's say it is a big trick. So what they did with Behind the Curve, okay, didn't kill us. In fact, ask Alex Stein why he found flat Earth. He found it because of Behind the Curve. So our problem is we're afraid of them doing something. But the only thing I think people would be afraid of is, like, if there was a possibility that one of us would die, or if I was going by myself, I would be nervous about that. It's very easy to kill somebody.
You're absolutely right there. But
what I'm saying is, hold on. I'm just saying
people.
Go ahead. Hello.
I think we have a little delay, but I'll go. It's people are freaking out. They're like, okay, they're gonna trick us, or they're gonna drug him, or they're gonna MK Ultra him, or they're gonna bribe him, or they're gonna
but here's the
his
thing.
family.
So it doesn't change anything for anybody. That's what I'm telling people. If I come back and say I saw the sun go around my head, and I'm acting different, and I say that we went to the moon, and I say that we're flying through space, you have every right to be like, that's not Jeran. I'm not believing what he says. And you keep believing what you believe. Big fucking deal. Like, why is it like, oh, if they come back and say, and it doesn't matter because Duffy called it the final experiment, who gives a shit? Why are we worried about what somebody's calling something? Now, if you're like, oh, well, they'll put it on the news, they'll put a documentary. They did that with Behind the Curve. So it would only bring more attention to this, especially if you guys all start saying, oh, that's not Jeran. He's been compromised. They actually said they didn't, whatever it is that is our spin, people are going to be paying attention to that. So I just think that people are too afraid of their own shadow. And if we allow that to happen, then we'll never get anywhere. We have to be stand-up people to where we say, go make the observation. We've been doing this 9 years. Nobody's been to Antarctica. Nobody's filmed the sun. So if somebody comes along, I don't care if he's ready to go to jail next week. If he's got $10 million in fines coming his way, if he's willing to pay the money to get us to go down there, Who cares? Who cares what he's got on his record? I don't care if he's in the SEC in trouble. I don't give a shit because it's not going to affect me and it's not going to affect you. There's no way. We'll make steps to make sure that doesn't happen. So I just think that it's none of our money. It's not like he's going to screw us and at the end he goes to jail and we all lost $40,000 or you guys pitched in and lost money. Nobody would lose a thing. So I just feel like everybody's being way too crazy about it. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. We didn't have to do that. We could have just been like, all right, this guy definitely wants to pay. We looked into him a little bit. Okay, he's kind of friends with Bob Enyart, but it didn't have to be this whole, he's everything's crazy and it's all nut. It just seems like nuts to me. I think it hasn't been a good showing. It hasn't been a good showing, and I'm not worried about what it looks like to Globers, even though because we know they're going to say whatever they want. That's what I'm talking about. It's just not been a good showing from an internal perspective. I just have seen it as like, wait, we're falling apart because some guy said he's willing to pay for us to go to Antarctica? That's what causes the flat earth to fall apart? That's not a reason to fall apart. It's not a reason to everything to break down because a guy wants to pay for a couple people to go to Antarctica. I just don't understand why that's nothing. There's so many worse things that could be happening, but we fall apart because somebody says we're going to go down and make an observation. Eric needs to make a video saying, it's a shill thing and it wouldn't make a difference, even though we've got him on record numerous times saying that there is no 24-hour sun. And if there was, he's just changing. People are backtracking. That looks terrible. People are saying it doesn't matter. You could say, well, I'm not really paying attention to it, or I'll worry about when I see the observations, or I hope Jeran gets good footage and then I'll deal with it then. But to say it doesn't matter, that looks terrible to me. What do you mean it doesn't matter? It's an observation that would be impossible on our model. It would mean that we need to change our model. So wouldn't you want that information? Don't you want evidence? I do. I don't care if it's me or somebody else. If somebody that I know and trust can go down to Antarctica and get me that film, I think it's hugely beneficial. So I don't want anybody to go down there. They're going to kill you and Bob Enyart, and he killed John Benet Ramsey. What is that? What does that have to do with anything? Who gives a shit about that? And I guess I'm the only one that's
People have been screaming that we need people to go to Antarctica for the last 8 years.
Right, and then somebody wants to pay, and we're like, no, he's friends with Bob Enyart who killed John Benet, which is just not true. But I'm just saying, it's like everybody just wants to freak out. Like, nobody can just relax and be like, wait, what's happening? That guy's going to pay for those guys to go? Good, go. He's paying for it. If I don't like the footage...
I have an idea. Why don't the people that are freaking out do a GoFundMe and send somebody that they do trust? Send a Euro.
Yeah, it's a great idea. However, that's a lot of money. I don't know if you can really raise 45.
If 30,000 people put $1 in each, we're good.
Yes, that's true. 45,000.
We have 160,000 subs. Everyone puts in $1. We can send 5 people.
Jeez, somebody tried to compare my channel to theirs the other day, and they're like, "You have 160,000, and I've got 1,500, and this and that. So you've got over 100 times more." I'm like, "Dude, your last video got 1,500 views. Mine got 4,000." I'm like twice the channel you are. You just tried to say I'm 115 times the channel you are. Let's just look at views. Sub count means nothing. Anyway, I just think that we just need people who are, there's a lot of people who are saying it's too suspect and dangerous. I guess you haven't been watching the chaos. Talking to me? Oh, no, I don't think he's talking to me. I've been saying for years that we need more observation. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? We don't have enough observations in the South. We don't have anybody we trust. There's nobody who's been in Antarctica that's gone for the one reason of seeing the sun. And I understand what everybody's saying about sun simulators, and they show that guy Flat Earth, what is it called, his channel? Can't think of his name right now.
Flatworks.
Yeah,
maybe?
Flatworks. Yeah, thank you very much. Flatworks has a video where he's showing a sun simulator and showing that they're taking pictures of it. Okay, but you need to think what you're talking about. If there's a sun simulator and somebody's got a picture of it, whatever, okay, but we're going down there for the one reason of watching the sun. So the sun simulator cannot be passed off as real. We're going to have infrared cameras and solar filters. You notice in the videos he's showing, nobody's zooming in on that fake sun with an infrared camera or solar filter. Why? Because it would be exposed. And then people are telling me, but Jeran, what about Crow? Crow has 2 suns. Crow's seen 2 suns. So is Chris Van Maitre. Yeah, they saw a second sun right next to the original sun. Not all the way over there. Not in a separate spot in the sky. So you have to think about what you're saying. And if we zoomed into the second sun, do you think that the second sun would have the same sunspots that the original sun had? Of course not. Of course not. So just think about what you're worried about and really make, do I need to be worried about this? Sun simulator would be very difficult. How are they going to carry it around in the sky? You think we'd look up and be like, hey, that helicopter above the sun, that's weird. Oh, everywhere the fucking sun is going, the helicopter's going. I mean, just think like it's not. And again, you guys, why wouldn't you want the footage? Why wouldn't you want, especially, I'm happy Dave McKeegan's going. Dave McKeegan is worthless to me. He's got no worth, except he knows cameras. And if he's going to go to Antarctica and film something, okay, go. And if we're going to have people with him that we know and trust, great. That's the guy you want to go down. Out of all the Globers, there's not one who makes more sense than Dave McKeegan. So I just think that things are kind of setting up to like, oh, let's get some observations. Let's see. And yet I get, I'll show you 45 messages in the last 2 weeks of people explaining how I will die. It's like, thanks for bringing that into the universe. But anyway.
That's all you need to be thinking about, right?
Right. It's just like, okay, yeah. And some of the people are like saying the most ridiculous, like, did you even think about this first? Somebody said, oh, McKeegan or Duffy used to be in finance and life insurance, so he's going to take out policies on you in Austin, and then he's going to kill you, and then he's going to cash in. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That is not a possibility. You cannot take out a life insurance policy on two people that you're putting on a plane that you're paying for, and then the plane crashes, and then you collect the money. Stop it. And they're just like, oh, I'm just saying it's a possibility. No, it's not.
If people believe that, can they take out a life insurance policy on you?
Go ahead. Yeah, everybody should. You guys can all get rich.
I already got mine. I don't know what you guys got.
At least get $1 million policy, please. Don't tell me you got $10,000. That'd be bad.
No, it's the million. And yeah.
Okay, here's Lynn Alexander in the chat says, going is a bad idea. This is what I'm talking about. What do you mean? Going is a bad idea. Somebody's going to pay for you to go make an observation? Bad idea. Okay, Lynn. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So when would it ever be a good idea? Because I feel like you guys would demonize, it doesn't matter. If there was a flat earth preacher who came forward and said, I want to pay, people would all say, it's a bad idea, don't go. It's a bad idea. Okay. It's okay. And 16 Alpha AV, I don't know. I think people are missing the point. They don't understand that a 24-hour sun around your head, it does make a difference when you're like, oh, well, that's looking in the sky and not the ground. We said that for 9 years, but we were talking about the people who looked in the sky and said, the moon's a sphere, the sun's a sphere, Jupiter's a sphere, we're a sphere. And we all said, you can't say that by looking at the lights in the sky and then saying we're one of those. But this is different. We all know what the sun does. What does the sun do? Does it go around the earth and bring light and heat to every place on the earth in 24 hours? Everybody would say, yes. Okay, we know what it does. We know the direction it goes. There's no question. So if somebody in Antarctica sees the sun go around their head the opposite way, and you're like, nah, we're looking at the light in the sky, it doesn't make a difference. Yeah, it does. It's impossible on our model. Wake up. Wake up. It doesn't mean...
I'm almost... I know I'm going to be disappointed because I'm almost, 99.999% positive you're going to go down there and not see the sun go around your head.
Yeah, me too.
I almost want it to go around your head, so it's gonna, maybe spark some more creativity in this.
I don't want that, but I would say
that just got sound clipped.
Yeah, I almost want.
Is already making a video of that.
No, I don't think it is. I mean, there's too many other things that wouldn't match. Like, I would be the most shocked I've ever been in my life, because then it's like, wait, why did they fake all these videos? Why did they have to? Why is there no undersea cables? Why did the boats go 4 knots and break the world records in the South? Well, every single thing that we've seen leads us to that conclusion. Now, I do think this is exactly what we would see if you've got a bunch of cocky globers who automatically say that it must go around your head because that's what their belief requires. Do you understand? Like a tune or an FTFE. It's very easy for them to say, oh yeah, it happens 100%, because their belief is so strong in their fairy tale world that they believe it must happen. So why not go down there and see what happens? Maybe. Now, I do agree that if anybody gets wind of this, which is probably already happened, they would never let us go down there, film the sunset, and come back and expose the biggest lie. But let's force them to have to do something. Mm-hmm. Whatever that is.
Let's force them to, cancel the whole thing.
Force them to put clouds in the sky. Force them. And Duffy's already said, he's on record of saying, if we go down there and for 4 days the sky is clouded the whole time, that's evidence of a flat earth. Do you understand? There's no way we can predict that.
On another another topic. You know, Austin is involved with going down there. He had his baby over an hour ago. Where the fuck is he?
Yeah, Austin, what's going on? We still have another 2 minutes of the show.
Yeah, it's been over an hour. Since you had the
I think
baby.
let's have a talk after about whether we want to keep him on the show or not. I'm kind of worried. I don't know. It's just disappointing. Disappointing. And why isn't Kai here to give a report of how she feels and everything? It's weird.
I know. I thought we might even get some live feed going. Just saying.
Live feed. Has anyone ever done that? Probably. Oh boy.
Probably. I don't know.
All right. Well, much love to everybody. I do appreciate those of you who have been. There's tons of people who have messaged me and been very supportive and said, "No, I agree with you. I thank you so much for being a voice of reason through this, and thank you for not saying like everybody else that it doesn't matter." There's people out there who have been friends with them for 5, 6, 7 years. We all see the same thing. That if somebody's saying it doesn't matter, I want to make sure what they're saying. Like if you're saying that, well, if Jeran comes back and says, well, then I'm just not going to believe him. That's one thing. That's fine. But to say it doesn't matter, then I hope you realize you are in a religion. We cannot ever say that evidence doesn't matter. What are you doing then? That's not a truther. If somebody's saying evidence doesn't matter, I just will believe what I believe. You are not a truther. You're the opposite of that. You are a religious person, a religitard. So that's been baffling to me. I thought when this happened, we would all stand up and be like, haha, there's no 24-hour sun. Let's go. This will be hilarious. Let's go down there. Let's go. Instead, it became, oh, it doesn't matter if it does. Well, what do you mean? How does it not matter? So that's what I want people to think about, that it does matter because we know what the sun does. So we can talk about lights in the sky. You're right. It doesn't matter if there's a moon that's a round sphere and a sun that's a sphere and Jupiter's a sphere. We can't then say, oh, those things are spheres. I must be a sphere. That is not good logic. But if you know what the sun does, and everybody knows what the sun does, we can track it. We can watch it. We know on Dave's app exactly where it is. We know it's noon where the sun is. So then if you say, oh, it's going around, and then it goes around somebody's head in the south, that should call into question our model, which doesn't mean the Earth's not flat. It just means our current model is fatally wrong. And thank you to people like, Space Audits, Alan, who's said that, and Melodome has said, a couple people realize that what we're talking about, and it's not the end, it's nothing to worry about. In fact, why would you be worried about the truth? That's what Austin says. Austin's like, I'm not afraid of the truth. So we'll go down there. We don't care. We're not afraid of the truth. We're not going to shy away from something because we're afraid of the truth. That doesn't make any sense, and call yourself a truther. So I'm just not afraid. And you guys should be celebrating people who are brave enough to go. You're saying like, don't go, it's not safe. Well, if people want to go, you should back them. Be like, well, good luck. I'm backing you. I have your back. Rather than
they said that to Admiral Byrd,
right, or to anybody who's ever discovered anything.
Columbus, all these people.
Don't go across the Atlantic. You're going to die. They're going to kill you.
Monsters in the woods.
Right. We wouldn't have anything ever happen if men who needed to step up didn't step up because people were all afraid and told them not to. I just think that if this was somebody else who had gotten picked, if it was Dave Weiss who accepted this and then Austin was in second, I would be behind them 100%. There's no way I would be like, oh, I don't know, Dave, I wouldn't, they're going to kill you, or I don't know, they're going to fake it. Force them to fake it. Go down there and film it, Dave. Please keep your camera. Like if it's anybody other than me, I'm just going to have very simple instructions. Please go down there and get me as much footage as you can. Keep your camera on as much as you can. Show me what you see for as much as you can. And then let me look at the results. And that's what I would do. And that's what I think people should do. And they should be excited about within the next 5 months or 6 months. You're going to have
look at all of the crappy South 24-hour suns in Antarctica that they made when they didn't have us looking over their shoulder.
Right.
Okay. When they didn't have us verifying.
Good point.
And it's going to be a mess. I want to say this, everybody. Jeran has this VIP club, and he shows you all the stuff that's in it. You may not want to look at any of it. I haven't looked at his book section. I haven't looked at anything. But I'm a VIP. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I was going to take a poll in your survey the other day, asking how many people looked at these things, and I bet a very small percentage. But that's not the point. $15 friggin' a month to make Jeran not have to work, make him be able to do this full time. Like without Jeran, we're in big trouble. All right. So everybody listening now, become a VIP member and forget about it. Don't even show up at the meetings.
But Dave, have you had fun? Have you had fun at the meetings?
The meetings are a blast. Okay. They're so fun. Okay. But I'm saying, don't look at it that way. Look at it as, hey, I skipped a lunch once a month because I'm fat and I'm supporting Jeran. Okay. We need like 300 more people, and then Jeran won't have to worry about asking for money, right? He won't have to do any of that. Everybody just do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Do it.
Do it. If 300 more people became VIPs, I would take everything off of paywalls. Everything. There would be no reason for that.
And what do we just do it and don't worry about it. Just do it because you won't miss it. All right? It doesn't matter. Like if you're gonna miss it, you probably shouldn't be listening to the show. You should probably be doing something to support yourself. Okay?
You sound like Alex Stein doing his ad for my VIP.
No, I'm just saying, just let's get this over with. I want to have 700 people in your VIP, so you can do even more. I want you not to have to worry about this. Your number, your requirement for what you need is extremely low. All right, and so just do it. Everybody, do it. I'm gonna make Paige do it, right? Even though I'm doing it, and she can share it with me. I'm gonna make her do it also.
I mean, yeah, say Lynn Alexander says his association with Enyart through the Agape Church. It's like, Lynn, you need to go look into what you're talking about or come talk to me. It's his best friend. His best friend was the pastor of Denver Bible Church, and then he died, just like Rob Skiba did. And then he took over and renamed the church from Denver Bible Church to Agape Fellowship. It's like, what do you mean his association with Enyart? And Enyart has some bad things on his record because he hit his girlfriend's child with a belt like 5 times or something. Again, and I'm the wrong person to talk about that because I was beat as a child. So not beat. I mean, I was hit with a belt, hit with a sandal, hit with a wooden spoon, hit with a ping pong paddle. So sorry that when I hear Enyart did that and I'm like, how many? Oh, he whipped him 5 times and then he called his stepdad, or he called his dad, who's a police officer, and he came over and arrested him. Okay, that makes sense to me. I don't see that as being a reason why Duffy should be considered suspect. That's Bob Enyart. He's dead. He beat the kid, not Duffy. Oh, Duffy's his best friend. Yeah, okay, well, sometimes people have best friends who beat kids. I mean, like, it's not even beating kids. It's something that happened to all of us, I would think. Maybe I'm wrong. In the 80s, that's how parents did it. I get it that now today we don't do that, but now look at the people we have. Look at the transgenders and the all this stuff. I believe that a lot of that is because they got rid of bullying. Bullying put people in their place, believe it or not. Bullying is how you separated the people who were like a little strange, and now everybody's celebrated and everybody's great, and they want to be fluffies and they want to piss in a fucking cat box in the classroom. Look at the world that we live in.
He's not joking either.
That's serious. I'm being serious. They have litter boxes in people's classrooms.
Litter boxes at school. I didn't get to bring my dog to school. Why the fuck? If they're gonna, excuse me. Sorry,
I did that. I started that.
It's my blood.
Wits, not listening, so that's all right. We don't have any push-ups.
Why? If you're a dog, that's fine. Nope. Do what you want to do, but you don't get to go to. Dogs don't go to school.
It's so bad. It's so bad. And I'm not condoning child abuse. I don't agree with that. Maverick's never been touched. But again, if I were to say, will he never be touched? No. I mean, he's going to probably do something at some point where he needs to get a little spanking. Would I hit him with a belt? No. But this is also a different time than back when this happened. And he did his time. And it's just, I don't know if it's reason, again, and I'm not discouraging anybody from continue to look into that, continue to try and expose something because you might find something. And if I don't want to be the one saying, no, there's nothing there, and then you find something. I'm just saying, as of yet, there's no reason for alarm. And people, I just think they feel like they need to find something like, I don't understand, like, what is it? Somebody said Duffy's suspect. Okay, he is suspect, but how can we get hurt with that? He's suspect, okay. But if I'm not worried about it and Witsit's not worried about it, I don't understand why people are worried about it. Like,
Jeran, some of the people that don't want you to go because they say it's dangerous, it's because they care and they're scared a little bit. Nothing wrong with that, but it's just like, okay, I get it.
Am I an evil person? But am I an evil person for if I was scared like that?
You're not. You're like,
no. Hold on. But I would want to see. But let's say.
Let's get scientific.
No, but what I'm saying, Dave, is if you were the one going and it was like there was a danger in it, I would be happy that you were going because you're doing a brave thing. You're doing something.
You suck.
But I would find that brave. I think we need to celebrate people who are doing things that are scary. We don't need to be scared so much that we discourage people from doing those things. That's just my opinion. I would be like, if somebody else is going and I was like, oh, it's a little worried. It's a crazy trip. A lot of things could happen. I give credit to that person for being brave enough to go and get information that we all get to share, that we all get to observe, that we all get to make decisions based on. That to me is something that should be celebrated. And it hasn't been. There's been no celebration like that at all. People have just been like, whatever. All right, that's good. Let's see what do you have coming up this week, Dave? Give us your adios. Dave, you might be on mute.
This weekend, next week I'm going to be on CNN, and then I'm going to be on Fox News, and then I a couple interviews this week. I'm kidding about that. I was just trying to trigger RV. A couple big interviews, a couple of interviews coming up, and I've got some other really big shows that are interested in talking to me. So when those happen, it'll be great. So that's about it. Wait. Also, I can't hear you. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I've been saying this for a long time, but I truly believe this week the open source version of the app for Apple and Android will be available to download direct from my website, so you can skip the App Store. You don't have to give Google any permissions or anything like that. And the Mac version hopefully also will be out this coming week. So there you go.
Awesome. And what do you have coming up, Zach?
Tuesday, I'm doing an interview on the Missing Link Live, a book interview about my children's books that I'm writing.
Sweet.
I am on my 6th book right now. Yeah, they're flowing. I got it done written. I even got the images. I just been working on getting stuff ready for Flattoberfest. I want to get all these new toys I'm going to be bringing.
Where's the interview that you're having?
Oh, it's at the Missing Link Live is the channel name on YouTube. And
okay.
I will drop. It doesn't have the link up for the actual. It'll be Tuesday at 5 p.m.
Cool.
And I will drop it in chat for y'all if you'd like to be there. But yeah, I don't know how much he's going to get into Flat Earth. I'll answer whatever questions he asks. But he said it was going to be about the books and getting them published and, what got me into writing poetry and stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to go back into my history a little bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
Thursday will be GLOBEBUSTERS Tech, 7 p.m. normal time. We skipped last Thursday because it was 4th of July, and we were on trying to keep the dogs calm duty all night.
And Iru, what do you have coming up? Is he gone?
I think Iru dropped out. Yeah, he had to go.
All right. And for me, I don't think I've got anything terribly important.
There he is.
Oh, he's back.
Iru's just jump back in.
Iru, what do you have going on this week? You want to say anything to anybody?
Well, I am going to Barcelona once again for the podcast.
You're just a world traveler.
Man, the last 3 months or 4 months was crazy. Completely crazy. Going everywhere since the first Flat Earth conference in Barcelona in January, then 3 or 4 in Argentina, 1 big in Chile, then I come back here and I was in 2 podcasts. One of them is the 2 million views, not 2 million subscribers. They are not yet released. The podcast is a complete Flat Earth 101, 3 hours, and now I go into 2 more podcasts. They are big, 400,000 subscribers, things like that. And I already been there talking about Flat Earth. Now I'm going to talk about the Blue Beam project and trying to debunk the NASA, because after all you can show for the beginners you can show a lot of proof and a lot of math and equations and images and videos, whatever. But at the end of the day, they just plug again, turning on the television and watching a spacewalk from Scott Kelly. So my goal is trying to at least present an alternative that how those videos and images can be made really fast and really cheap in nowadays. And but keep going, and the community in Spanish, like I mentioned before, is growing very, very fast. So, I think it's a matter of time. If we keep doing things like we do, I think it's going to come the day when the system reset, because everyone is going to be a Flat Earth.
I think the same thing. Well, awesome. And I've got coming up Wednesday at 4:20. We have another Mystery NASA Theater 420, which the first episode was fun. We'll have the second one on Wednesday at 4:20. Thursday at 7 p.m. I've got Lindsay from Tomb of Illumination coming on to explain his model, where he does say he accounts for a 24-hour sun in the south. So we are going to see that. And then Friday.
And remember that tomorrow, 8th of July, is the great day for the globe, when it's going to be like 99% of the population world illuminated
and light
by the sun.
That thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds believable.
Hey, and not to give Will any publicity, but he is going to be on Alex Stein on Thursday. That should be interesting.
That will be interesting. And then Friday, my Jeranism show. I think that's the Friday night. We have crypto class. So you don't really need to worry about that. And if you want to become a VIP because you want to listen to Dave, I would appreciate it. It would be awesome. And I think that I would be very thankful to everybody who, allowed me to be home with my son, be home with my wife, be able to homeschool and all those things.
Do this full time.
Absolutely. And make videos.
And do this full time without worrying.
With making videos and things. Because it is tough. I'm getting a bunch of just $1,000 here, $1,000 there, where you got to kind of put it together, and it's not easy. But anyway, if you guys could help, that'd be great. If not, I totally understand. You can go to WHOP.com/Jeranism. The hangouts that we do twice a month, which that alone I think is worth it. You get the first and third Saturday. We all get together. There was like 35 people yesterday. We keep getting more and more people attending, and we'll have a member of the community with us each time. Dave's a member, so he's actually there so far every time, but he was also the first guest. Rose 777 was the second guest. We then had Austin Whitsitt as the third guest. We had Conspiracy Music Guru, who sang to us and a bunch of fun stuff on 2 weeks ago. And then we just had Patricia and Mark join us yesterday. And we'll just keep getting better and better. There's lots of ideas about Amanda Vollmer and Tom Cowan, and maybe even people like Eddie Bravo, whoever I can get to join us. And we do that not every other week, first and third Saturday. So the next one will be July 20th. So and by the way, if you sign up today or anytime, all those old ones are still available. So you'll be able to go back and watch Dave Weiss, watch Austin Whitsitt, watch Conspiracy Music Guru, and all my videos, and everything in audio, and the entire 2,800 ebook library. So it is a great deal, and you're helping me out, and I would appreciate it. Anyway, WAP.
I just want to say there's certain things that I sign up for. Like I've been I've been a member of Owen Benjamin's website since day one, and I have never gone there once.
Yeah, we need more people like that. Please become.
I've never gone there once.
And you know what?
Never gone there once. Because it's only $5 a month. It's like it's nothing.
Yeah, the truth is that some people don't obviously do that already, because there's some people who just don't show up to these meetings, and I think they're just doing it to help out. So that's awesome.
They're doing it because they want more of the Jeranism channel.
Right.
That's it. Right? People have no problem paying their cable bill. A lot of people actually do have a problem paying their cable bill now. But people, you go to a movie, if you still go to movies. But all of this stuff is nothing. $15. What can you do for $15? Nothing.
And the people might remember, I think I was great at making videos. I think I could make great videos, especially now. There's so much content that I could put together. Like Robot Polisher does his videos that are kind of those quick. I did better 30-minute videos, kind of walking people through things. I enjoyed that. The problem with that now is that there's technically no money in it. Because if I do a video like that, by the way, YouTube.
Oh, you're doing it for the money.
Well, yeah,
you're doing it for the money.
That's why it costs money to become a VIP. If you make a video on YouTube, YouTube doesn't allow me to monetize my videos. Now they do allow it on the live streams, which is how I get super chats, and so my options are do a live stream, get super chats, or make a video that takes me hours, if not 20 hours or more to make a video, and then there'd be no return on it. Or you got to hope that people donate. Well, that's a hard way to go, because it's not, you don't know the end result.
If there was just a core of 400 or 500 of us that were VIP members,
yes,
you could do everything you want for free.
Yes.
You could just do everything for free.
Right. And if it took me 20 hours to make a video, big deal. Because I know, I have the money coming in for the next month. Anyway, I get it, though. It's difficult for people, and I understand that. But it would be helpful. And if you've appreciated the 9 years that I put in, that would be a great way to show that. And if not, then just call me a shill and go hang out with Eric DeBay. You guys will be good friends. All right. Any final words, guys?
No, that's it.
All right. Yep. Sounds good. I remind you guys, please be kind to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind. There is truth inside. We will see you next time. This has been GLOBEBUSTERS. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.